Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the Lights Up Show. I'm your host, Andrew. I make the Shumidori, and I will be guiding you through the month's biggest news and movies and television. But it is not just me tonight. We are joined by a very special guest host, Agent Vincent 4756.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, how you doing,
Hi.
man?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Excited for the show tonight. Excited for the after show tonight.
I am.
AKA the watch along. It's gonna be a good time tonight. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, tonight is a great show. We're gonna be talking about big announcements for HBO Max, a bunch of updates on video game adaptations you've been waiting for. We're gonna be talking about WandaVision. That is the main reason that Vince is here, and we'll have a second guest host when WandaVision discussion starts up. So this is a jam-packed episode of Lights Up Show. It's on the first Saturday of every month. So hit that follow button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Make sure you never miss new episode of Lights Up. All episodes will be archived on YouTube as well at youtube.com/The Level Up Network, so be sure to subscribe there. And lastly, Lights Up Night isn't just about the talk show. Every episode is followed up by a live Discord watch along on discord.gg/The Level Up Network. Tonight, we will be doing a drunk watch along, not just a watch along, a drunk watch along of the infamous The Room. So I hope you guys join us. It is not just for subs and patrons this month. This is everybody is allowed. Because this was a stretch goal. You guys activated this as a stretch goal. We hit it. So obviously we don't want to cut anybody out when it comes to this watch along. The rules are on our Discord as far as the drinking game goes. It doesn't have to just be me. And on top of that, tip rewind is active. The more you tip, the more it rewinds the movie. So if you guys time it right, you might choose a spot where, hey, he can drink again here if I rewind it 1 minute. You know, things like that. It's up to you guys to strategize how you want to rewind the movie. Or if you just want to just start from the beginning at some point or another, that's fine as well. We will only rewind the movie a full length. Anything more than that is off limits. I'm not staying up past, an hour and a half extra of The Room. I've never seen the movie. Vince, have you ever seen The Room?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yes, I know everything like about The Room. You know, it's infamous. And of course, I saw The Disaster Artist, which is about the making of The Room with James Franco and his brother Dave Franco, and then it has Seth Rogen and a few others, which was a very good movie. So I kind of have like an idea of The Room and its iconic scenes, but I've never actually watched The Room. So this could be interesting, especially if I get drunk. Yeah. You guys can also utilize our Discord to suggest other movie and TV watch-alongs, especially if you are a sub or a patron. You get those extra privileges. And then lastly, get on our Discord because we have interactive segments on the show, like In the Spotlight, which we'll be getting to a little bit later on tonight. Right now, though, we're going to start off with how you reviewing. Once theaters open back up, this will become more of a discussion on what actually came out in theaters over the past month. But considering right now, there's not a lot coming out that I really want to discuss. This is more a segment for me to talk about what I've been watching over the past month. And that's not just going to be new movies and TV shows. It's also going to be me dipping into my backlog, especially this time around. I was dipping into my backlog, starting off with Booksmart. And I know, Vince, you looked at the agenda. I know you haven't seen any of these except for WandaVision. So, but if you want to chime in at all on how you feel about how I'm just describing these movies, feel free.
I shall.
So Booksmart, the gist is you got these two girls finishing up high school. It's their senior year, literally the last day of high school. And it has a really kind of cool twist at the beginning where you immediately recognize them as the smart girls. Like, they've put a lot of work throughout high school to get into good colleges, have good GPAs, good SAT scores, and now they're going to finally see the fruition of all that, right? It's like, all of our hard work, everybody else sucks, we put in the time and effort. And they realized, well, specifically the one girl here realized that they put in all the work, but so did everybody else. It's just that they multitasked and had fun at the same time. They partied, they gave hand jobs, they had a good time, but also got a 1560 on their SATs. So suddenly it's this revelation of like, oh my God, we've wasted the last 4 years of our life just all work and no play. Let's make up for that on one final bombastic night, the final day of high school. So these two girls try and make the best of it. And it's directed by Olivia Wilde, which I think is pretty neat. If anybody doesn't know who Olivia
Oh,
Wilde is,
cool. Oh,
this is
cool.
her directorial debut. She was in a Tron Legacy. She was started
Right.
off in House, is the thing I remembered
Yep.
her in. And it also has Caitlin Dever, who a lot of people want to play Ellie in The Last of Us. And I'm going to talk about that actually a little bit later on tonight. I'm not going to talk about it during this. This showed her comedic chops, especially her friend. And I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the actress's name who plays Caitlin Dever's friend. The two of them together are fantastic. They've got a great chemistry, and it kind of reminds you of Superbad in a lot of ways. It feels like the girl version of Superbad, and I mean that in a good way for the most part. It gets a little bit. I think in the first half, it's a little like all over the place. And I feel like in the second half, once they get to the final party, that's when it really hits its stride and has a lot of great emotional beats and a lot of great sort of set pieces, like the dolls, when they become dolls there, as you saw in the trailer. That's when it really hits its stride in the second half of the film. I highly recommend it. It is one of the best I guess you say like girl comedies that I've seen in a while. Like when I think of girl comedies, I think of like Bridesmaids and things like that. This is one of the best I've seen in quite a while. I laughed a lot throughout this, and I really enjoyed the performances by the two leads. So I think if I had to give this a score, I think I would give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I want to give it 4, but I do feel like the first half brings it down a little bit. It's a little all over the place, jumping from party to party. I didn't feel like I was like finding like a good flow in the film, but once it gets in that second half, that's when it really gets great. So 3.5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it. Check it out. Moving
Okay.
on from that, we're going to get in something that is the complete polar opposite of Booksmart. You guys might have seen the trailer in the pre-show. It's called The Farewell, and it's funny. I feel like we first watched the trailer for The Farewell back when I was a full-time streamer, potentially, or maybe like towards the very beginning of last year when it was coming out in theaters. We watched it during an episode of Lights Up, and I right off the bat I was like, I'm into this. I like the concept for this movie, and I like a film that has that emotional impact on me. This is about a true story based on an actual lie. You have these I think they're Japanese. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. But it's really like about a cultural difference between like America and where they're from, and that when somebody is dying, they don't typically tell them. If they have that opportunity to not tell them, they'll take that. They'll let them live their life, the end of their life, as happy as possible without sort of putting this burden of them, like of you're going to die in the next 3 months or whatever. They take on that burden. The family takes on that burden of keeping that secret so that they can live their final days without that stress and that pressure. And
Wow.
it's interesting because throughout the entire film, I was thinking this is messed up. I think this is so messed up that they're not telling her. Like I get it to a certain extent, but you're not letting her decide how she wants to end her life,
Right.
what she wants to say to these people, what she wants to do in her final days. You're not giving her that opportunity. I thought it was really disturbing, honestly, that this is something that happens regularly in the culture, and it's not trying to. I don't think it's trying to criticize it. It really isn't, because Lulu Wang, the director, this is her story. This is her grandmother. Like she's not criticizing it. She's just trying to show the cultural differences there, and I was really expecting the end of this movie to upset me emotionally in a very specific way, and I ended up being angry for a reason I was not expecting whatsoever. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It got its emotional reaction out of me, but it was not at all what I was expecting. It was anger instead of sadness. Now, it also sort of advertises itself as this sort of not dark comedy. It's around depressing subject matter, but it's not dark. It does have comedic elements. I was surprised, though. I didn't think it was very funny. I was more just like, this is a very sad and in a lot of ways very disturbing movie to me. I am glad I watched it because it sort of opened my eyes to something that I didn't even know was a thing, from a cultural perspective. But I will admit that I ended up a little bit disappointed in the film, especially considering the critical acclaim that it did have. 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, like a high 8s out of 10 average rating. It is like one of the highest reviewed films of the last year. So I was a little surprised I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. All that being said, I do want to give some major chops to Aquafina. I mean, she's mostly known as a comedian, but she freaking knocks it out of the park in this movie.
Wow.
She was fantastic, absolutely fantastic in this movie. I was not expecting that out of her. She deserves all the credit for her performance in this, and everybody does. Everybody in this film is fantastic. The cinematography, the direction. This is my first film I've ever seen by Lulu Wang, but all of that is great. I was just a little bit disappointed that it didn't hit me in the way that I was expecting to. Maybe that's my own fault for my own expectations on what the film was going to be and how it was going to impact me. But you know, you can't help the way you feel. It's just I ended up being a little disappointed in certain aspects in that way. I do recommend it still. If I
Okay.
had to give it a rating, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars
Okay.
for this one. Yeah. So overall, first, I need my depression. I do.
Needs the depression.
I wasn't looking for anger. I was looking for depression. Come on
You're
now.
looking for tears,
Yes, I do love
and
me
you
some
were
tears.
denied the tears.
Yes, I was 100% denied the tears. Moving on from film, let's get over to some television here. Back to another production that included Caitlin Dever, the one that has been sought out for Ellie in the Last of Us TV series. This one showed how her range. We saw her comedic element in Booksmart, and this one she's playing a young girl. I think either in high school age or just out of high school. She has gone from foster home to foster home. Her entire life had a very, very sort of, I don't know if I would say depressing life, but definitely a strained life from the time she was a little girl. And it goes to another level when she is raped by an intruder. And this is based on a true story. And it's really about how she's gaslighted after that by the police officers that she talks with, by the FBI, who sort of, I don't want to say they coerce her into lying. She doesn't entirely make it easier on herself. She isn't entirely sure of what happened. She's almost having a defense mechanism where she misremembers things, and like she's wondering in a way if it was a dream, like was I actually raped? But she has the marks around her hands from where she was, you know, it wasn't handcuffs, but they binded her, and all this is there. Like she has the scars physically and emotionally from this, but she's doing a really poor job, unfortunately, through her emotional distress of relaying this information, and the officers just kind of take that as immediately gaslighting her, like you're lying, and then they sort of coerce her into signing a report that she did lie about all this, and then they eventually prosecute her for false I don't know, false reporting, whatever you want to call it,
Wow.
accusations, false accusations. And then meanwhile, during all of this, while she is dealing with that, this rapist is continuing to go around the multiple states raping women.
And doing this.
Doing this, and then it finally starts to come together when these two FBI agents, two detectives, are realizing connections between all these rapes and piecing the puzzle together. And I don't want to spoil everything about it, but it comes together in a satisfying conclusion for sure. Great performances by Toni Collette specifically, fantastic from her. Caitlin Dever is amazing. She can do the comedy, she can do the drama.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she could do the drama without a doubt. So I am totally in on her being Ellie. I do think that she is a little bit too old at this point for the role, unfortunately. She's 25. She totally pulls off high school girl in both Booksmart and this, but can she pull off 14, 15?
Part
and
one,
especially
Ellie.
if we're still not even to the point where we're in production on The Last of Us. She's going to be
Yeah.
26, 27 soon. I think we might have missed the opportunity for her to be Ellie, unfortunately, because I do think she would have been fantastic, but she is awesome. Check her out in Unbelievable for that. And I'm drawing a blank on the actress's name. I know her from New Girl with Zooey Deschanel, and she's always been sort of a comedic actress in my history with film and television. But she obviously takes on a more dramatic role in this and does a really great job at it. I will say, if I'm going into the negatives, it's tough for me to talk about this because this is a lot about what women deal with, right? This is not really my place to talk about those elements, but at the same time, I will admit certain aspects of the show felt preachy to me. And that's like a delicate line, right? It's because everything that they're depicting in the show is meaningful, right? It needs to be talked about. It needs to be seen. And there are certain times where when you sort of are on the nose about it, where you have like a long dialogue scene where you're just kind of flat out saying these things that I would hope people would pick up on their own. Like, I felt like it was sort of beating me over the head with it and preaching to me about these things. And it didn't bother me necessarily, but it came off a little bit cheesy in a show that is very dramatic and very powerful and meant to be very impactful. Those moments came off a little bit of cheesy and a little bit preachy. So that's the one kind of negative that I would say happens multiple times throughout the series, and I do think that has a part to do with the script, and it also has a little bit to do with the acting as well. The performances aren't consistent throughout the series.
Okay.
They're strong for the most part, but there are definitely some dips in quality in the performances throughout, especially with certain characters or actresses and actors that come in and out of the series as it goes on. All that being said, I do recommend it. It's been on Netflix for quite a while now. I finally got around to watching it. You should too. I give Unbelievable 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
All right. Continue on with some more Netflix content. We had a watch along last month for Cobra Kai season 1. I think I was able to introduce several people to a show that is surprisingly good. It's not what you would expect for sure. I think a lot of people saw Cobra Kai inspired by Karate Kid, continuing the legacy of Karate Kid, and they're like, oh my god, this again. Like how many 80s revivals are we gonna have? Like, do we really need this? But Cobra Kai in its entirety is surprisingly strong. Season 1 and Season 2 both. I think Season 1 is still the best of the lot, but now Season 3, which I watched last month, is right up there with Season 1. I don't think I would say it's quite as good as Season 1. I still don't think it has that edge that Season 1 had, but it's sort of, it has embraced the ridiculousness at this point. Just, it knows 100% what it is, right? It knows 100%. And did I forget to play? I did. It's cheesy. It's 80s. It's cringy at times. It uses those 80s, that 80s music, right? It knows what it is, and it takes these kids in high school and puts them into the most unbelievably ridiculous violent scenarios. Like, these kids are trying to kill each other at this point. Like, literally, they're throwing each other through glass windows. They're choking each other out. They're using nunchucks, like, with fatal like force. It's way too much, but it is hilarious at the same time, because nobody's, at least I don't think, nobody's gonna die in this show. That would feel very out of tone with this series so far. So when they do pull out the nunchucks and they're spinning them around like, oh my god, if this hits this girl in the face, she's gonna die. But then you think like, oh wait, this is Cobra Kai and this is ridiculous and nobody's gonna die. This is just fun. This is just stupid, right? And once you kind of embrace that with the show, I think you can really enjoy yourself. You just kind of have to leave your brain at the door a little bit. And I know that sounds like, I feel like when you say that, it's like, oh, then it's bad. Like, stop making excuses. It has a lot of strong moments, though. It has a lot of great emotional beats. This season in particular, Ralph Macchio, Daniel-san, goes to Okinawa, similar to Karate Kid Part 2, and he meets up with several characters from that movie. And man, I thought that episode, I think it was in the middle of the season, was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The lessons that Daniel learned, the characters that it brought back, and the great performances from those characters, the actor and actress that played those characters. I don't want to spoil anything on who comes back into the show, but I was surprised. I was like, wow, they still have it. Like, this is really good. They're in some ways, I think they might be even better than Ralph Macchio. Like, this is great stuff. And also the way they integrate Pat Morita and Mr. Miyagi. Not literally, he's not in the show physically, because of course Pat Morita has passed away in the past decade or so. But they incorporate his character through through some pretty cool emotional methods, letters that are dug up, that they then read, like, oh, I didn't know he left this, like things like that they utilize to bring back those hearts ringing moments, pull out the heartstrings, and I really enjoyed that in season 3. And the best thing that season 3 does is that it moves us on into what I think will probably be the second half of this series. I don't want to spoil what that means exactly, but there is a certain aspect of this series that if they continued on with it past season 3, it would have been too much. It's like, okay, like, stop dragging this out. We got to move on here. Like characters wouldn't do this. People wouldn't do this for this long. It's just unrealistic to a detrimental point on this story at this point. But I think they realized that, and by the end of season 3, they make the decision and they set up the future of the series with a major change that I think is going to be exciting moving forward and will allow this series to remain fresh, especially if the rumors are true of this being a 6-season series.
Wow.
Which I wouldn't have expected originally. I thought this would maybe go 4 at most. But having heard that, I was like, yes, they needed to make this decision. Thank God they did if they plan on going another 3 seasons with this. So I really, really enjoyed season 3 of Cobra Kai. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars.
That sounded good. You
Yeah,
definitely some
King
good
Kurt, where you
phrases
at?
there.
Where's King Kurt at? He's another Cobra Kai fan. Let's see. Let's go to the chat here for. We will talk about WandaVision in just a moment. To those asking about WandaVision, we are almost there. Thanks for being patient. Did I miss anything else? We got my sugar daddy here. I don't even know who's my average sugar daddy. I don't recognize. welcome to the show, King Kurt. What did you think? What did you think of Cobra Kai season 3? While we're waiting for this video to play out, I'm curious. Actually, let me put a poll in the chat. I haven't been putting the polls in the chat because I know none of you watch this stuff. So, but I do have one for Cobra Kai, and I know you guys. Some of you guys have watched that. 4.5, even higher than me. Wow. Well, now you have the opportunity to vote on it, King Kurt. Let us know in the chats, what would you give Cobra Kai season 3 out of 5 stars? I would give it 4. Duroc giving it 4.5.
Wow.
So here's the thing. Miss Mel and Rick are both in that camp of like, no, this just looks so cheesy. Like, I can't get into this. Give it. You guys watch so much, Mel, Rick. You guys watch so much together. Give it a shot. At least watch like 3 episodes of season 1. And the reason I say that, especially, is because the episodes are super duper short. They're like 25 minutes long for the most part. And I love that about this show, especially since you can binge it. WandaVision, on the other hand, I kind of hate that the episodes are short because you have to wait a week between.
I hate
But
it.
when you can binge a show, 25-minute episodes are the best. Absolute best. So give it a shot. Just like an hour of your time. Just watch 2 or 3 episodes and see if you're feeling it. I bet you that you'll be surprised. You'll laugh. You'll cry. Actually, you probably won't, unless you watch the original Karate Kid stuff. You do have to have a little bit of a connection to the original Karate Kid, I think, for this to have a major impact on you. But you can enjoy this either way. I really do think that. Are you interested at all, Vince, in watching it?
I'll get to it someday. I really don't make room for a lot of television, to be honest. That's the unfortunate thing. Like, the most recent thing that I just rewatched, other than WandaVision, was Archer from top to bottom. I mean,
how many seasons is that?
11.
Oh, wow.
But again, they're 25 to like 30-minute long episodes, so you can easily, within a few days, get through an entire series like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I never really watched Archer.
Huh?
I never really watched Archer. I watched a little bit of it. You know, I've seen episodes here and there, but I never really watched Archer. That's one of the ones I need to get around to. I think it's on Netflix, isn't it?
No, unfortunately, it's only on Hulu now at this point.
Well, I have Hulu. I can do that.
Yep. And you just got to deal with the ads, though, which the ad placement for a short show like that is rough.
Okay.
It's rough.
Yeah. Archer is top class.
Yeah, no. Archer is one of the more comedic shows that I really enjoy watching. And I like how there's a lot of stuff that plays off from, like, they do like like the very first episode, there's a joke there that they really don't bring back into like 4 seasons later, you know, and then it's done that.
Might be on Canadian Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Canadian Netflix. It is not on American Netflix.
Canadian Netflix.
Yeah.
Not in the US. Yeah, okay.
I love it. Canadian Netflix.
Well, guess what? Mike the noob guru wants to get in on this
Oh, he
WandaVision
wants
discussion. So let's add Mike to the call here. See if he gets on. Mike, we're giving you a call right now, man. I see you're in the chat.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. We're about to get into the big stuff. Get into the meat of this show. The big meaty part of this show.
I love the big meats.
Yes,
There
that
he
big
is.
meat.
There he is, everyone.
Welcome to the
quick.
show, Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Vince, you need to watch Cobra Kai.
I know. I'll make time for it someday.
Damn right you will. I actually,
Right.
so in fact, I actually didn't really care about Karate Kid growing up. I never really had a connection to it. I never watched it. And this show hits and hits well.
No, okay. That's good to
It
know.
does, it does. All right, well, if you guys are ready, got a lot
Let's
to
do it.
discuss here. We got a lot. We got 5 episodes of WandaVision.
Oh, dude.
God,
WandaVision.
I love this show so much.
It is really good. Here's the thing I want to say right off the bat. Just so much kudos to everybody at the MCU, if you want to say that.
Anyone who's a part of this, holy crap!
Like the risk in they're taking in doing a show like this. Like this is
Right.
just so out there, right? There's things like it. There's Pleasantville. There's Truman Show, right? But this show is still unique, even from those, especially considering it's within a universe that everybody considers blockbuster action. You know, that's what they're looking for. And I can
Right.
imagine there had to be a lot of people watching the first 1, 2, and maybe even 3 episodes. Like, what the hell is this?
There are people
What?
that
This
I
is
knew.
this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What are they doing to us?
Yeah, there are people I knew that I almost wrote off in my entire life because they were like, this show sucks. Yeah, so unfortunately it happened.
I don't
It
understand
happened,
that.
yeah, for sure. But
But they, fun fact, they actually consulted Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yeah?
For a lot of this. Yeah, he had no idea what he was being consulted about. But they consulted him about writing sitcoms and situational comedies like they were filming to get his input. So actually they all got the Dick Van Dyke seal of approval.
nice. Yeah, it really does channel the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s now incredibly well. Just to give to anybody that's not watching it, we'll do a little pitch here for you. The gist of WandaVision, right off the bat, is that Wanda is seemingly stuck in this sort of sitcom reality with Vision. And, Vision, spoiler alert, who died in Infinity War, back as a part of this reality of 50 sitcoms, 60 sitcoms, and actually is literally recreating the sets from some of these, whether it be, I think Bewitched is one of them, Full House is definitely, not Full House, sorry, Brady Bunch is definitely one of them, and Family Tie is the most recent one, so it's recreating these classic sitcoms, and it's just this sort of mystery at the beginning of like, what the hell, how is she a part of this? Why is she a part of this? Why is Vision back? It's got a really, really cool setup right off the bat, in my opinion. It takes until the end of the first episode for them to lay those seeds, right? Of, oh, wait,
Right.
something is really wrong here. Because the first 20 minutes of episode 1, you could literally watch as if it is a 70s sitcom, 60s sitcom. It goes through it perfectly. The vibes, the cinematography, all of it is
The first one's
there.
actually 50s, like I Love Lucy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the end of that episode happens, and you're like, oh, wait, something is very wrong here. So let me go to that first, actually. We're going to get into spoilers now, guys. We're not going to hold back. There's no way to discuss this show without getting into spoilers. So
yeah.
we have to. We're getting into it now. End of the first episode. Guy starts choking. They, invites over the family from the business. His boss, trying to please the boss, having a whole bunch of shenanigans with getting dinner ready. Guy starts choking, and the cinematography changes. It gets very Lynchian in that moment, and Wanda keeps looking at Vision, and in my head, it's almost like she had to give him permission to save him in that moment. How did you guys read that scene?
No, it's exactly how I read it. And that's where it tipped off to me, to where, how you were talking about how she was stuck in this. That's where for me I was like, nah, she's the one doing this.
Right. I agree from the very beginning. I wasn't sure that she was like the main mastermind behind it all, and I'm still not sure on that, and we'll get to that later on. But I was like, yeah, she wants to be here. Like she might have been thrown into this, or maybe she's being manipulated, but now that she's there, She has
wants to be
Vision
here.
back. She has a life that she wants. She wants to stay here.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of what I got right off the bat in the first episode.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Mike?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it was definitely building on the foundation. It was more, like you said, to lay the groundwork for what's to come. Because a lot of what happened in the very first 2 episodes, actually even 3 episodes, was something that, it was almost predicted by, a lot of us that kind of have knowledge of what goes on with Wanda and Vision and stuff like that. So it's almost, not that we saw everything coming, but we saw why things would be happening in the way they would be. But yeah, it was bizarre, for what you were watching, but it was actually for myself, I don't know, but for you guys, exciting. Like, okay, good,
Yes.
good stuff is about to happen.
The show is paced incredibly well. They're short episodes.
Oh my God.
And nothing overstays its welcome, especially considering you're moving from era to era, and everything just keeps feeling fresh. The first episode is probably the one that is demanding the most from the viewer. Of like, they make you wait 20 minutes of a 50s sitcom until it starts to lay that groundwork. So I could maybe see a little bit of an audience being frustrated with that first episode, but once you get past that, it continues to lay those questions out, right? Like those. In episode 2, we've got Dottie introduced, and you start hearing on the radio, like, who's doing this to you, Wanda? It's stuff like that. The color that's coming in with the little helicopter, or her blood when she squeezes the glass too tightly, and then especially characters like Agnes. That in the first episode, I already was thinking a little bit about her, but in the second episode especially, I was like, something's going on with Agnes. Who is this person, and what is her role in all of this? And especially now, we'll get to the other episodes, but especially as it goes on, I think I can see who that character probably is. Dottie is another one.
Can you, though?
I think so. Let's
I think
wait.
you'll be very surprised on our
Let's wait on that. What about Dottie? Do you think Dottie's just? Well, let's explain. All these other people in Westview, I think it's called, they are real people. They're literally real people that are a part of this, but you could tell that they feel like they're being coerced into playing a part. Like, it's almost like they've been cast in a role and they're not allowed to leave it. And you could feel that, right? And maybe it's because I've watched Pleasantville and Truman Show and shit like that so many times, but you could tell, like, there's something wrong here. Like, they don't want to be this way, but they have to be. And then when you look back at the first episode with the wife saying, stop it, stop it, stop it, you realize then, like, oh, that's same with her. She had to stick in this smiley 1950s sitcom mode, but she was begging Wanda or Vision to save her husband. So that's sort of like the creepy element right there, right? But certain characters, do you wonder if they're not just like an actor or an actress, like a Dottie, like an Agnes?
Yeah, so especially by that episode, you really have no idea what's going on yet. And heck, even by the third episode, you're still kind of questioning different things. And I think I know where you're going with what you thought of, this person or that person. It's very interesting to see how they have their personalities play out, especially in the second episode with that interaction with Dottie, because it's not like anybody else. And I mean, real quick, to give a shout out to Agnes. I can't remember the actress's name.
Oh, she's so good.
She kills it in this. She does so well. She fits it so well, especially in the most recent episode. Man, she fit it so perfectly. She just nailed that part. But in that episode with Dottie, you end up seeing that character break even. And it's one of those things where you can tell that there's something off, and then all of a sudden, bam, like a snap of the finger, all of a sudden it's recognized, like, nope, this is out. The simulation, almost in a way, is off. And it needs to be corrected. So it's definitely, you can definitely tell that there's something going on, but trying to figure out who's who and why people are who they are, I think is a little bit different. As the episode's gone, you start piecing.
The most recent episode obviously revealed a lot on who these characters might be. But let's go to episode 3, because that's a big one, right? Because we had Was that the birth of the babies in the third episode, or was that the fourth episode? I'm trying to remember.
That was the
Birth
third
of
was the
babies
birth.
was the third episode. Mhm.
Third
Yep.
episode. So that's a big deal, because then you're starting to realize that they might be following a storyline from the comics,
Well,
right?
So out of anywhere, you at the end of the second episode, Wanda is magically pregnant.
Right.
Right.
She just says we need more, something like that, and then suddenly, bam, just like that, she's pregnant, and you start to see. And let's not skip over that episode, because that's important too. Because not only are they adding color with a random helicopter that fell out after Wanda feels like she's been hearing things.
Yeah.
You also see at the very end of that episode what looks like to be a beekeeper coming out of the
Yes.
sewer.
Yep, and that's not the first thing. There's been several weird things sort of placed throughout the first two episodes, right? And that's just one of many.
And
But
she just says no, and he goes back.
yes,
and
which
disappears.
also feeds into the idea that she is somewhat in control, right? There's
Right,
something
exactly.
to that. But what she's not in control of, seemingly, with the pregnancy and it becoming, going to term in days, and then not realizing that they would be twins, and the
Right.
fact that their names are Billy and Tommy, I want to say. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yep.
Same as the comics. That's when it's like, oh shit,
Right.
are they doing this, right?
That episode, I lost my mind as soon as they were about to birth. As soon as she gave birth, I'm like, oh my god, they actually are doing. They're doing it. They're doing.
Yeah, I mean, should we
House
just
of M.
say it? They're doing House of M, right? That is. Do we
Um,
all think that that's what they're doing? They're doing House of M.
No, but yes.
I don't
in
think
the
they're.
same
Here's the thing: if
way,
they actually
they're-
do House of M, that is ballsy as hell. Like,
If
I don't
they're
know
doing-
that they're gonna do it.
If they're doing House of
episode
M,
5. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead,
No.
Vince.
I was just gonna say, if they're doing House of M this early on, everything with the MCU is gonna change drastically, super quick.
I mean,
So
Wanda
let's
might
wait till the
be
end
the
of
ultimate big
episode
bad,
5.
if that's the case. If this is House of M, Wanda might be the next phase's big villain.
So let's finish doing the recap, because there's so many different avenues we can go off of, but there needs to be context for it first. So
Right.
the end of the third episode, not only does she, the pregnancy get accelerated and everything, and mind you, this is a very quick recap because there's a lot that happens in these episodes. We also meet what's her name in Wanda's world.
Gwendoline or something like that. I can't remember.
So
But
in
yeah.
episode
Yeah.
2, we meet Gwendolyn. They think there's something off with her. She
Yeah.
builds like a friendship with Wanda, and then the third episode is when Wanda's about to give birth, from nothing to something all at once, and nobody recognizes that there's something weird about it. Even though within days she went from not being pregnant to being ready to deliver, and Gwen is there helping her, basically with these
Geraldine.
babies.
Geraldine.
Geraldine, thank you so much. And nothing seems off, and then suddenly, while Vision's still gone, she gives birth. And that's when we get the twins and everything. And as they're talking with the stork walking around behind them,
Which is something I
What-
want to talk about in a moment.
well, why don't you go ahead, because we'll get to the end part. 'cause that's
Okay.
a big part of the episode.
The stork represents something that Wanda cannot control.
Yes.
And I think that's very important, especially the color of the mist when she's trying to remove the stork. There's a few things throughout the series so far that she's completely not in control of. The babies, the twins, especially in the most recent episodes we'll talk about, and the animal. It seems like a couple times like animal related things like the rabbit and now the stork.
Mhm.
But the fact that red mist shows like there's this, there's a character that's like red is a big part of that character, as far as the visuals go.
Yes.
And I still think that making Wanda this really messed up big bad, I don't think they're going to do it. And for that reason, I think they will ultimately go to this character, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I think the stork is important for that reason. But go ahead, Mike.
Right. And then, so the major part at the end of this episode is as they're talking, as Wanda's talking to Geraldine, who she's built this very close connection with in friendship, Wanda notices that the necklace she's playing with is the sword logo that we now learn is the new offset of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Geraldine also mentions Ultron.
And her brother.
And her brother Pietro, which really sets Wanda off and takes her out of the moment, almost like a snap back to reality type thing. And this is something Wanda doesn't like. And decides it's not okay, you're not wanted here anymore, and uses her magic and throws her not just from the house, but outside of her this bubble universe,
Simulation.
which we
The
now
hex.
this simulation, yes, the hex, as it
The
was later
hex.
called. And you see all of these shield or sword agents rush in to aid, who we will later learn is not Geraldine, but Monica Rambeau.
Oh my god.
Is
So
it
good.
is Monica the mother, or is Monica the daughter? I'm trying to remember. What's the name of the mother?
Daughter.
What's the name of the mother?
The mother, I can't remember the name for whatever reason.
She's from Captain Marvel, though. That's what's
right,
kind of the
it's
cool
the
connection
kid.
here. Is this is the little
Yeah.
girl from Captain Marvel, which is pretty
Yep.
neat, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool that they brought that connection there, and you also got Jimmy Woo who comes back too, which is pretty awesome as we find out in the fourth episode.
4 is amazing, and it's probably if it wasn't for what happens at the end of episode 5, episode 4 is by far my favorite one.
Really?
So-
See, episode 4 is my least favorite.
Interesting. So we learn a lot in episode 4.
Maria.
We get the very big Maria's daughter. So we not only learn that Geraldine is actually Monica Rambeau, but we get one of the most amazing things that we've seen since Avengers Endgame, and that is the reverse snap. We
Yeah,
see
that was
what
awesome. That was
happens,
great.
How once Thanos snapped, it's like everybody's dust particles comes back to where I guess they were. So
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau comes back to the hospital where her mother was, and obviously she's not there because it was 5 years before.
I saw an
Crazy.
interesting discussion about that, about how the snapback, or the blip, as I think it's called within the universe, would cause this unbelievable amount of chaos, right? All
my
these people
God.
going back and not having jobs, not having a place to live potentially. Like, that would be almost as devastating as the snap itself, and in some ways would be more devastating than the snap itself, as far as its impact on economy and all those kind of things. And it brought up a discussion I saw online of, did Tony do the right thing out of his selfishness to keep his family? Did he do the right thing of bringing them all back 5 years later or whatever it was? Or should he actually have just reversed everything and just brought it back 5 years to what it was before? Now, the problem with that is a lot of people have had babies and done things in those 5 years that then gets reversed. But I thought it was an interesting discussion. It's not one that I want to have now, but I just wanted to put it out there. Like, it is something that I think is worth
very
thinking
interesting,
about.
yeah.
Everybody in the chat, think about that. Like, what would you have done? Do you agree with how Tony did it, or would you have brought it back to the beginning and reversed it all?
Well, there's even more chaos because, I mean, think about the amount of people that were in planes and cars and, boats and stuff like that. Suddenly they're put back in the same spot they were, and suddenly people are falling out of the sky because they're not in the same vehicle anymore.
Right.
So that's
the idea that it puts out there, right? Yeah.
Well, I do want to say, I think in Endgame, Tony, when he tells Hulk, he says, make sure you bring everyone back safely. Like, so I think that there's a distinction there to where, like, yeah, they get put back in the right spot if they're safe, but if there was something like, plane or whatnot, that's all good. They were brought back to someplace safe.
But anyway, we get this really awesome visualization of what happens reverse snap, and it's chaos in the hospital. Everybody's running around. But shortly after, we see Monica walking her way into a sword headquarters, and she meets with the agent in charge, who fun little, I don't know if you guys noticed this, I was talking to Rick about it and a few other people. As they're having a conversation, she's getting caught up, brought back up to speed from the program she was a part of. They have a conversation about the space exploration. And the guy mentions that it isn't going greatly because half of the team went missing in the blip, and the other half is too scared. And one of the theories that I really enjoy is that this is going to reference the introduction of the Fantastic Four, that the team in space is going to be Reed Richards and his team in there.
I think there's definitely a chance that there being a connection there, and the fact that Caitlin Olsen, am I getting that right? The fact that she said there is a cameo in this season on par with, spoilers for Mandalorian. I don't know if I have to say this, but
Drew, that was last episode.
I don't
know that it was. I don't think so. There's no way that she considered that to be on par with Luke Skywalker. There's no way in hell that she would put that out there.
No.
I am telling you right now, everybody that has been talking about this has been saying, "Yep, this is it."
Well,
This
that
is,
was
this makes sense."
ridiculous of her to say then. Absolutely
Then,
ridiculous of her
then
to say.
you don't understand the weight of what this means. Okay, let's
No,
continue.
I'm sorry, dude.
No.
Are you trying to tell me that that is anywhere near as impactful as Luke Skywalker showing up in The Mandalorian?
So here's the thing. I was racking my brains trying to figure out who it could be and why and this and that. And is it going to be this person and that person? And then yesterday's episode comes on and I'm like, nope, bam. That's how you do it. Because honestly, saying that would not have it. No one else would have made the impact that did because of what it represents.
See, I don't know that it represents anything. A lot of people think it might represent like alternate realities or universes or multiverse. What if all it is a wink from Marvel of like, hey, they recasted, Pietro in this universe.
right.
We're skipping ahead, but it doesn't mean anything. It could just be like, oh, this is another guy in the world, and hey, it's a wink and a nod to the audience because we know. But I don't know that it means anything. We'll get to that later.
Let's get to that because, oh man, what a can of worms. All right. So anyway, after that whole thing, not only is that episode great for those, that little bit, but it also introduces why there was a random toy helicopter in their yard. They were throwing in drones, and you're starting to recognize that the drones are now these helicopters that they're finding, but they've been manipulated to fit the time era that they're in. So you're
I don't think we need to go like beat by beat here and explain everything that happens, but
there's a lot of interesting stuff in there.
But I think the problem with that episode for me is what you're talking about right now. That it showed everything, and only being episode 4 of what might even be 10 episodes of a season, it just kind of like unraveled so much and took away a lot of the mystery of the series. And I'm not saying that the show is no longer great; it's still great. Episode 5 was fantastic, but after that episode, I was like, wow, that definitely ruined a lot of the vibe that I was enjoying about this series. That would be my feeling. Because, yeah, they've got the drone being the helicopter, or vice versa. They also had the beekeeper turning out to be a guy that was going through the sewers and it comes up. So the idea being that anything that goes into this simulation will then take on the characteristics of the time period at that time, whether it be 70s or 80s or whatever, which is a really cool concept. I really, really appreciate that. But that was the problem there, is it was just a little bit too much mystery gone. Let the mystery be, right, Mel?
But I think episode 5 flips that back on its head, saying, "Yeah, you thought so, but that's not the case now." Like that's how I
hope so. I hope so.
That's how I feel. Episode 5 did.
Because the characters in the show are still acting like, "Oh, it's Wanda. Wanda's doing it all." But I think we all agree, like, there's no way, right? Yeah. This isn't all just Wanda.
Well, we know it's mostly her. We do know
it's mostly her, but I don't think she's the one that started it. She even says it herself that she doesn't know how it started. Somebody else started this. Somebody else manipulated Wanda, and now she's happy to be in it. But somebody started this, and it's like a Mephisto or something. It's got to be Mephisto or something.
I'm going to hold this back here a little bit. Whenever Monica talks about like the feelings about her being thrown out and everything like that, and like the thoughts that she was feeling, she actually says she felt this heaviness. She felt this grief that was going on. So, I mean, that's to me, I actually honestly do think that Wanda did do this. She did this. I mean, she went and stormed in front of the sword agents and said, "Stay out."
Yes, but she might have already been manipulated by that point.
I don't think she's been manipulated. I think what's happening
what's happening is going to be even crazier to you. I promise you.
That's so out of character for her. That is at that moment. That's out of character for her. That's her 10 years ago, like Age of Ultron. That's not her anymore. And for her to go from the final scene of Endgame to that makes no sense to me without some outside influence. There's got to be an influence that pushed her towards robbing the dead corpse of her loved one and putting him back together like a puppet. That is not normal. That is so dark and twisted and messed up. That is too much. That's like Daenerys in season 8. There's just too much of a gap there in her before and her there. I think that they need to explain that in a big way, either through an outside influence or what the hell happened between Endgame and Wanda here that would have pushed her to that.
I'm sorry. Hold up. You're going to say that's maybe too dark for her when she, at the end of Infinity War, has to kill Vision and then watch said big guy Thanos come back and go, meh, rewind, and still kill him again
Vince,
anyway.
I'm telling you right now, I promise you,
that's
there's
dark as like a
literally
story hole.
zero.
Yeah.
Vince, there is literally zero way that this is all Wanda. 100%. Like I would.
I'm not saying it's
literally
all
bet
100%
everything.
Wanda, but I'm saying I do think she's going to be. It's going to turn out she was a major part of this. And
No,
I think
she
there's
is,
gonna be-
because she
obviously
is
she's a
holding them
major
all
part
hostage
of
right
it.
now. She's making
Right.
that decision. So she's culpable. Don't get me wrong. But I think that there is an entity that started her on this path.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't decide
exactly.
out of nowhere to be like, you know what? I'm going to make a 1950s sitcom. I'm going to broadcast it to the world for some reason, and I'm going to reanimate the dead corpse of my loved one and hold thousands of people hostage. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. She didn't just like
All right,
suddenly after Endgame make that decision. There's just no way. There's got to be something that pushed her.
Well, not
onto
only that, they even talk about, they kind of hint at, some other stuff in episode 5 even that leads you to believe that there's more than just her going on. Because not only, all right, so episode 4 ends, we get, the curtains dropped, or so you think, but it's really not. You just know that, there's some, there's less mystery to everything going on, but at the same time, you kind of already had that feeling, but you're also getting some different, different actors into play. And you're going to see how things change, including in episode 5, when not only does she have to deal in the 80s, which they really tackle family ties really well.
Yeah.
And can we talk about the intros? How they nailed the intros?
This was my favorite one though. Episode 5's intro
intro
with Baby Vision. Oh my god.
Oh my
I was
God,
dying. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
From what I remember seeing too, the thing with the twins was her idea as a nod to Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. The way that they were shot was a Full House recreation.
That's
of
cool.
The intro with the twins with Mary Kate.
Yeah,
and
but
Ashley.
that's the kind of thing in this episode that was very meaningful, was the boys deciding to grow up, and her at one point literally have to tell them, no, don't grow up, stay as you are. Like sometimes you have to take in these moments. You can't just move on from them. So she, I think, felt out of control in that moment.
Well,
and
not only that,
Vision especially is making is figuring things out. He's literally
so after
unlocking the personalities, the true personalities of people in this community. And I mean, I don't quite understand where it goes from here, because to me, it's like he knows now. He figured it out, right?
So the end. So was it last episode or this episode? No, it was the last week's episode with the dead version, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
So
was
they
one of
put it
the
up when they were doing
freakiest
Cap.
parts. Yeah, when they did the thing. So one of the things that was I saw one of my favorite things was on one of the message boards of someone's like, yeah, I did not need to see that at 2 a.m. not knowing anything about this episode.
That was creepy. That was one of the creepiest things they've ever done in the MCU. Yeah.
Where they show, so you get a glance of what is most likely real Vision, of the true Vision in this.
Yeah, that's what he looks like. That is what is going on. She reanimated a dead corpse, and that's what he actually looks like. It's totally messed up, and I love it.
Right, with like hole in his head and everything. So that's a major part, and I think Vision's starting to put that together. But I think what's also meaningful, there's a few things that are big in this episode. Not only Vision trying to, starting to realize that everything is not what it seems, but also in this episode, you see him get the transmission from the outside world. They used an old computer to send a message to the old computers that they use instead of the show. And one thing I'm hoping someone cracks is, I'm going to guarantee you there's a secret there. At the very beginning of when he gets onto the computer, there's a bunch of ones and zeros in a specific pattern that I guarantee you says something in a certain way. And
somebody had to already do that, though. I would imagine, right?
Right. I would hope so. I haven't
Internet detectives don't waste any time on this stuff.
But yeah, then what's the guy's name? Is it Robbie?
Yeah, his coworker. Yeah, that he unlocks.
Yeah.
That was creepy, man.
Unlocks. Well, he said the reason I'm phoning in on that. Not only is it creepy, but he says words that are very specific. He says, "I'm so afraid. I have no idea what's going on." And he's full of fear. That's going to be a very key thing for one of the theories of what's happening here, is how fearful he is.
Well, you have to think about it. He actually talks about pain too. Like these people know who they are. They're not just like, hey, their mind just changed and they don't realize that they're their original self, and they're just living out a happy life in Westview. No, their true self is buried in there, and they are trying to fight out. They're in pain. So Wanda is putting these people in pain forcing them into
Yes.
this reality, and that's what makes it so messed up from her
And that's going
perspective.
to lead big into one of the theories of what's going on. So that's a big part. But one of the other things too is not only is Wanda not in control of the boys aging, but don't forget they find a dog. These
Yeah.
boys, as young like 5-year-olds, conjure up, or they actually conjure up a dog that Wanda was not in control, was not expecting. But suddenly, all of a sudden, she goes from not being okay with it. Oh, everything okay?
Losing you a little
Hello,
bit.
me? Oh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
you're
Yeah.
kind of going in and
Uh,
out.
Um, but Wanda goes from, finds the dog and is not okay with it, and then suddenly she's all of a sudden turning, onto it. She's all of a sudden, becoming okay with it, almost like she was manipulated herself into accepting what's happening.
By the twins, potentially?
Um, I don't know if by the twins. I think again, this is one of the things that if it wasn't her just randomly being, that typical typical sitcom thing, this is going to be one of the manipulations. One of the
Yeah.
theories I have.
I mean, it's very
For it.
likely that the twins are going to have powers, right? My theory from the beginning
Sure.
has been, from the moment she got pregnant, is that somebody wanted to get pregnant, and now they want to take the children. Because as we realized in this episode, when something leaves the simulation, it becomes reality. Like, Geraldine's clothing, when leaves, stays those clothing, which kind of blows my mind that, wow, they might have brought Vision back to life. Like, literally.
Yeah.
Like, because if he leaves, does he stay alive? And does he
Yeah.
stay looking like that, or does he go back to corpse Vision? Like, they might have resurrected this character of Vision through this series, but the idea that these kids are growing up within this simulation, but when they leave, they become reality, and they might grow up to be teenagers with superpowers. Somebody wanted that to happen. It wasn't in Wanda's control. That was one of the things that wasn't in her control, and that entity that wanted this to happen is the one that influenced Wanda to start this in the first place.
Exactly. Yep. No, I 100% agree, and that's a big thing. Another random little key nod that gets glossed over by some people, surprisingly, is Kat Dennings mentions getting an aerospace engineer.
Yeah,
Or
that was
some
cool.
lines, and I'm very curious who that's going to be, because one of the ones that we already know of is dead. That's Monica's mother. And the other one doesn't exist yet, but it's also Reed Richards.
I
Yeah,
mean, come on. They have to be hinting at that too.
They got
I
it,
mean,
right?
that's to me that was the most heavy-handed play of it. Was like that's what they're doing. Like
I'm okay with it. That's cool.
And then plus
Like,
the other
that
thing,
should
too,
be
that I
the
think-
cameo that was not cameo, but the reveal that Olsen was talking about. That is
Absolutely.
on level of
That
Luke
would be cool.
Skywalker.
And if
Bringing in
you're right-
mutants or bringing in Fantastic Four or something like that, that is on the level of Luke Skywalker. Introducing the X-Men or the Fantastic Four to this universe through WandaVision.
I'm going to tell you why I still think it is as big as it is and not as small as you're making it out to be.
Yeah,
but
so
one of
what
cool
was the
things-
reveal then? To tell everybody first, what's the reveal at the end of episode 5?
Who you want to say it, me or Vince?
Go ahead, Mike. You go ahead.
So
Go for it.
at the end of episode 5, Vision and Wanda are fighting, which is great because they're actually breaking character after a few things. No, because I don't want to do that yet, because one of the other things too was Agnes. She had to break character and ask Wanda if it was okay if they,
Should we redo this? Should we reshoot? Like, almost like they had to reshoot. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was great.
So-
And in the
which-
chat,
that's
Ronan
also-
says Agnes might be the one manipulating Wanda.
No.
But if Agnes is Agatha Harkness, then she's going to be helping Wanda. That's
Right, exactly.
She's a witch that helps Wanda. So,
Okay,
and
so
the fact
go
that
that
she's a witch in one of the future episodes, like the Halloween episode, kind of really makes this not obvious, but man, like, she's got to be
think
Agatha Harkness.
I think it's next week is that episode.
Yeah.
I think next week is when a lot of shit goes down, by the way. But but then also in that episode they're fighting, which they don't break character. Vision is now breaking away from the vision that Wanda is basically forcing upon him, or that we kind of come to realize that Wanda is forcing upon everybody. And they're fighting and arguing, and they're still. It's almost like it was trying to keep up the sitcom feel, but it was definitely breaking apart, and it was almost like a glass shattered type, realization. It was a really cool way to do it. But while they're fighting, all of a sudden you hear a knock at the door, and no one should be knocking there. The show is not recording, as it were. it's made clear in that fight that Wanda is basically manipulating things to air an episode, and then all of a sudden Vision goes to bed and suddenly everything's changed again. Wanda's doing that. He knows that. So this knock at the door is not planned or expected. And as she opens the door, it comes from behind. Now, I will say, for a quick second, kind of thought it was going to be Steve Rogers.
Really? Huh.
I thought
Like
so
old Steve Rogers with the gray hair.
Because I knew about the cameo coming in, and I was like, okay, the gray hair. I was like, wow, they're doing that. I was like, oh my god. And then suddenly my world is completely rocked. I lose my shit. Danielle tells me to calm down because I scream as I realize that it is not just Pietro. It is the Days of Future Past Fox version of Pietro with what's his name from American Horror Story.
Did you not see it coming though?
No.
Really?
Not in any way, shape, or form. And what's funny is Rick, of all people, did. He actually told it to Dean.
I saw it coming by the end of the episode because I was 100% sure Pietro was coming back. But the rules that were laid... Yeah, but the rules laid throughout the episode made me realize it would have to be the Fox Pietro because they made it clear that she is not creating life. She can't do that. What she's doing is she's changing reality. She's making Vision's corpse look like normal Vision. Like, that's what she's doing. She's not creating life. So she can't bring Pietro back from the dead. She would have to have his corpse and reanimate it. So I was like, okay, so it's not Pietro can't be in this. But then once I heard the knock at the door, I was like, wait a sec, could this be Pietro? And then once I saw the gray hair, I was like, oh, it's got to be Fox then, obviously.
See, that's insane. So oh man. All right, so this is insane for multiple different reasons. On top of everything else. First, it means that, let's just get the basic one out of the way. It means that Disney, Marvel is okay with incorporating these properties as soon as possible, as long as it makes sense. And up until now,
I disagree.
We didn't know what they were going to do because they kept saying, oh, it'll come, it'll have its time. We need to plan everything out first and have it work. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be huge for the rest of the MCU. And if it is not, then this was a very poor play.
I think it's more likely to be a troll, honestly.
I guarantee you, I listen, I am almost convinced that it's not. There's no way that they would do this, knowing what it would lead for the people that will really be into the show and these types of shows. They know what they're doing with it. They did this for a reason.
Yeah,
how would that be the case, though? It's not like she can bring somebody from an alternate reality in.
No, and that's
the big thing.
Right. That's where the thing.
It's more likely that there was somebody in the community that looks like this person, and she cast him as Pietro so that she could have her brother back. And it's a wink and a nod, like, oh hey, it's the actor from Days of Future Past. Wink nod.
No, that is literally not. That would never, ever, 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 ever fly. They would never allow that. Kevin Feige would literally throw you out of the room before he would allow that. You think he doesn't know what people would assume would happen? You think he doesn't realize that people?
It doesn't mean the mutants aren't coming. It just means that they're playing into the show. Even Kat Dennings says she recasted Pietro.
That is a bad move, honestly. Listen, if that's really what it is, that was a terrible move. I'm telling you right now, I cannot fathom any world where that would be the case.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible that this is multiverse related. I just would be very, very surprised if Disney wanted to honor the Fox X-Men in any way, shape, or form. It was a garbage truck on fire. Who would ever want those characters? Why would they ever incorporate them?
Kids. So all right. So there's literally it has nothing to do with bringing them in, because that's also the conversation, right? Like, I hope they don't bring in other X-Men and pick and choose who would work. And the only one that I would actually say would be okay outside of him was the guy who played Beast. McCoy.
I forget.
But those are the only two. Anyway, regardless, there are multiple reasons why they're doing this, and this is the perfect way to introduce it as this is allowed now. This is going to happen. And doing it in the TV show and not the movie was a way for them to introduce and get their feet wet while not shoving it down your throats of a new recast and a new member. Because if they were to just bring back a new Fantastic Four again, they would have to recast everybody. It wouldn't make sense. So now at least they're introducing it as, hey, this is allowed now, and this is what we're doing. And it made sense for the show. There are multiple theories that are out there, and there are two that I really like a lot of why they're doing this. And I know a lot of people were really harping on the whole idea of Mephisto and everything like that. And it's not that it can't be, but there's two other theories that are really cool that if they do it, would be even better way to incorporate other movies to WandaVision and connect it to the MCU. So what do you think is going on here? Like with Mephisto and everything else.
So I think there's been again, they might be trolling. I think there's a lot of trolling going on in this show, and that's why I think there's a chance that this Quicksilver thing is one of them. I think Mephisto is another potential troll, because the way Agatha talks about her husband being in the dark, what he looks like in the dark, or the devil is into details. There's a lot of like little hints and nods about like devilish stuff going on with her husband, if he's even real. So I feel like, and that, and the red mist, like it being the thing that appeared when she couldn't get rid of the stork, the things that are out of her control being red pretty much the entire series, the helicopter, the blood, the stork, like it seems like they're really heavily hinting at Mephisto to me.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be, but I feel like if it's not, then they're trolling us, which is cool too. See, I'm okay with they're trolling us. I feel like this is a series where that's totally fine. What do you think, Vince?
I'm thinking a lot of things, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot that they could do. Here's my thing. My knowledge of Marvel kind of stops from Spider-Man and Wolverine is really kind of like where my depth of knowledge is. So like when you get to like Wanda and everything like that, for me, it's like I'm kind of learning as I'm going, right?
And that's a lot of us. I'm going to put that out there too. That is the majority of this. A lot of these are very obscure.
And that's the thing for me is like I know like the general outline of House of M and a couple other things and everything like that. So it's like I get it, right? Just I guess my biggest thing that I'm really excited to see was seeing those lines of like I know an aerospace engineer, like okay, that's definitely a Reed Richards dive right there. Monica's X-ray having nothing because it's energy more than likely. That's a cool thing then too because they're already setting that up as well. For me, I don't know. I still feel like this is. I don't really know who could be the real big bad here. I kind of almost want it to be different. Like I really just want it to be kind of like Wanda in a way, but just because it's more just grief and everything like that. I kind of want it to be that way. Here's the thing too. I went from liking the director of Sword to not liking him in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
and I think there's definitely
totally
something there because of the way his scenes are filmed. Like he's kind of goofy with Monica at first, and then the moment like they find out a television show, he's like, I need to go. Give me a chopper. I'm heading for analysis. Like he leaves, right? Then he comes back and he's like, yep, I want to kill her. And it's just like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute, what is going on here?
So there's there's one big theory that's going around that I really like. That's a little bit different, and it's more likely the more credible one than the other one, which is honestly one of my own that would be cool. So the random one, the bizarre one, is that so at the end after Doctor Strange, everybody was trying to figure out what the next villain would be for Doctor Strange. And one of the ones that kept going around was Nightmare, who is a villain that would manipulate and lives off fear and this and that. So looking into it a little bit more, one of the things that happens in Endgame is when Hulk talks to the Ancient Ones, she talks about how breaking that path off would allow more dark energy and forces into the realms than it should be, and this and that, and it could cause potential harm. So my theory is that originally when you heard that it was going to be the Multiverse of Madness, most people were like, okay, that wouldn't be Nightmare, except it could, because in WandaVision, the enemy Nightmare is part of a group called the Fear Lords, and they are 6 beings that literally feast off of and live off of fear. And one of the things that I was saying before, how this buddy, the guy Robbie, was saying he was just filled with fear and grief and sadness, and Monica Rimbaud was saying how, in her analysis, she was filled with fear and terrified and this and that. And even you could tell everybody in there is just terrified of everything. It leads to believe that they're using this as a way to feast off of them. The fear lords are using this, and the nightmare creature is going to feast off of this. This would also lead credence to show that Quicksilver was not the cameo, but later it will be Doctor Strange coming in to assist in eradicating, in fixing whatever's going on, leading into his next movie, the Multiverse of Madness, where they're trying to connect realms and universes and worlds to collide, essentially bring hell into Earth.
Okay.
So that's one of the theories that I have that I randomly came up with. So that one I thought was kind of cool.
I'm gonna stop you here. I just you said 6, and I was like, I don't know about this, about the Fear Lords, and I was like, wait a minute, they're calling this thing the Hexagon, like they're calling it the Hex, and I looked and I was like, oh, Hexagon has 6 sides. Huh. Bam. Interesting.
There you go. So that was my theory that I came up with randomly. So this comes to me. I want it to be well known. I've already had it documented that I said it before the other day, but now, bam, I just made this theory. So this is mine. I own this.
The Hex is also obviously when I hear Hex, I think of witchcraft.
Witch Hex, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
But they did say that it is a hexagonical shape for the anomaly.
Yes.
So sure. The other theory, though, that is not mine, that I really do like, especially for a couple things that happen, is that it's Arnim Zola. So at the end of Civil War, Arnim Zola, goes away. They blow his thing up, except he actually already reached out to S.H.I.E.L.D. and essentially incorporated himself into the AI of S.H.I.E.L.D. When Tony Stark is creating Vision, when he creates Ultron, they said that there was a weird anomaly, and this and that, like another AI was assisting, and they don't really explain it more than that. For different reasons, there's reason to believe that Arnim Zola was the one that helped create Wanda and Pietro as the Miracles, because out of nowhere they're able to get this this new technology and this new way of thinking, which is kind of the way that Arnim Zola would work. And so it leads into in this episode, they were talking about how did Wanda get to Vision, and this and that, and it's almost like she had help getting into Sword, which Arnim Zola, being the AI incorporated into there, would actually have allowed her to. So he gets that. The end game being he wants to not only reanimate Vision and make himself a part of that robot, but he also again wants to change the species of everything. And this is where the colliding of worlds come into play, and this is where bringing in the same people, or other similar people from a different universe would come into play as well.
Yeah, and Rick makes a good point too in the chat. Those are interesting. Both sound theories for sure. There are so many directions this could go in. I'm curious. Let's give this a rating. You get people in the chat either gave it 4.5 or 5 stars. Vince, what would you give the first 5 episodes of WandaVision?
Right now, 4.5 for me. 4.5 for me.
What about you, Mike?
It's a very high show.
I'm gonna go 4.5 as well.
Wow, you guys are really high. Wow. Yeah, I'm high too. I would give it 4. I would give it 4 out of 5 myself. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic so far. I think the only one that I was a little disappointed in was 4, because I feel like I lost some of that mystery that I really enjoyed in the other 4 episodes so far. 5 was a real high point though, so it's leading into the second half of this season with great momentum, and I could certainly see it going up to 4.5 for me, and God, maybe even 5 for me if they stick the landing. It's off to a really good start for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and by the time we have our next episode, let's see, we'll be done, right? We should have the whole series.
Maybe, unless they do extend it.
Yeah, unless they have an episode 10. Yeah, we'll have to see. But we might be able to do the entire series in review on the next episode if you guys want to join me again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mike, I think you said you were going to head out after WandaVision?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yes,
anytime.
Thank you.
Joining us. See you later.
See you, pal.
Vince, you can stick around. We got some stories I think you can chime in on here. But first, we do have our next segment in the Lights Up show. utilized by our community on our Discord. It is called In the Spotlight. You get on our Discord at discord.gg/the Level Up Network. You can. Oh, we didn't crash, did we? From Mike leaving.
I
Can
think
you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I don't know
Your
how
camera
the
isn't showing.
stream-
There it is. Now your camera's showing. I just want to make sure
Okay.
your camera's going to show. You guys can go on our Discord. You can submit questions for us to answer on the show in the hashtag in the Spotlight channel. Rick GFN2112 comes in with 3 questions this week. All great questions. Let's see his first of the lot. He asked, if you could bring back any MCU villain, who would you reintroduce and why? Can be a poorly done character that you would handle differently, or a dead character that you want to see again. So for me, the first thing that comes to mind, especially considering like X-Men is coming back and all this, I don't think that they should necessarily do it because they've already tried twice. But if I could erase history and pretend that those 2 examples never happened, I would love to see Dark Phoenix actually done right. My God, it's such a great story. It's such a great villain, and they've wasted her twice.
Twice.
And
I
it's
can't believe that.
the most unbelievable thing that they were able to mess that up. It's
I
so
don't know
easy
how,
to do
dude.
that right. It's so easy to do that right. And they
Yep.
messed it up. And
Twice.
I want to erase history, just erase that ever happened, and try again, please, with Kevin Feige and the team at Disney and MCU. Let's do it right finally. What about you, Vince? Anything come to mind for
It
you?
would be Ultron. It has to be Ultron. There is so much untapped potential in that villain that it's just, I can't believe they killed him off in Age of Ultron. I was like, it was one of those stupid, like, what are you doing, Marvel? Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Ultron
would
started
like to-
off so great in the first half of that movie,
Yes.
and then just gradually became more and more comic book villain, honestly, is what comes
Yeah.
to mind. It just was a little bit like a caricature of his starting self. He was creepy and scary and villainous in all the right ways in that first half, and then he just becomes sort of cheesy. I don't know.
And then, like, yeah, he just, like, all of a sudden, like, gives up. And it's, like, this weird thing of, like, how did you not predict, like, calculate this whole thing happening with you? It just was weird. Hell,
Yeah.
that whole back half of that film was just strange.
There's a lot of Spider-Man villains that I would bring back and try again, but honestly, the next Spider-Man movie is like doing it already.
Yeah.
The one I was gonna say before this week, news came out, was Green Goblin. Willem
Oh my
Dafoe's Green
God.
Goblin, because he is amazing, right? He is the perfect
Yes.
Green Goblin, but they put him in a fucking Power Ranger suit. Like, they completely screwed him up as the Green Goblin. They got him 100% right as Norman, but they completely messed him up as a Green Goblin. So I want to see Willem Dafoe be...
Ouch, am I?
Yeah, I want to see him be the Green Goblin as he looks in the comics. Like, that would be scary as hell with him behind that. He would do such a great job with it. So that's the other one that came to mind. But we're getting him back supposedly in the next Spider-Man movie. He's been on set. Reports are saying, as well, you know, as Doc Ock and a whole bunch of others. So we're going to see a lot of our favorite villains coming back in that one. So that's really, really exciting. A great first question coming in from Rick, but we have 2 more to go. Let's not waste any time. Let's see what Rick has to say for us here. Next up, he asks, it is no secret that the totally amazing and magnificent Mads Mikkelsen was wasted in the MCU. Which Marvel character would you have him play instead? And why do you think he would be a good fit for the role? Can be an existing character or a character from the comics that has not yet been used. I feel like it's sort of boring because I feel like everybody thinks of this villain, but it has to be said, he would have been a great Victor Von Doom, right?
Yeah, he would have been a great Victor Von Doom. It's actually funny. I actually was thinking Magneto.
You'd be a great Magneto too. I 100% agree. But the
Yeah.
first thing that came to mind, and I then looked online, and it seems like everybody says the same thing, is Doctor Doom. He would have been an unbelievable Doctor Doom.
Oh my God, he would have murdered that part. Just him in a throne, just sitting there, just with a wine glass, even channeling that Hannibal energy. Perfect Doctor Doom.
But what Death Stranding showed me, and to a lesser extent Rogue One, is I like when Mads Mikkelsen is heroic and somewhat of a good guy. Everybody immediately thinks, what villain would Mads Mikkelsen play? But on the opposite end of that, what hero could he play? Or maybe he's not so much like straight hero, but like anti-hero, or like somebody who's sort of blending that line. Is there somebody that would have been great for him to play in that arena outside of straight
Ooh,
villainy,
that's a good
right?
question. It's a
What
very
about
good
him as Reed
question.
Richards? No, it doesn't work.
Yeah, Reed
No,
Richards for him doesn't work.
no.
It's
Galactus. Again, we're going villains. He would be a good
that's
Galactus,
villain.
though.
It's nah, that doesn't work.
It's tough. It's
It,
tough. He's so easily cast as a villain.
it's actually weird. Nah, I was gonna say he could be kind of fun as Wolverine, but at the same time, I was like, nah, that doesn't quite
No,
fit what he could
no.
do.
I don't see it. I definitely don't
Yeah,
see it for
no,
Wolverine.
but like it would be much more of no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. I don't know why my thought that way. Oh, that's a good
I know,
question.
Rick. It's tough, right? It's really tough to think of a hero for him. It's so easy to think of a villain like Doctor Doom or Magneto.
Yeah.
Magneto would have been fantastic for him, but it's really tough to think of a hero. Keep thinking on that, Rick
Yeah,
and Chad
like
as a whole.
Magneto's actually a good. That's actually a good kind of answer to the hero line because they could twist that into Magneto being more of the hero and not an actual villain,
That is
but having
true.
like those dark sides. He could actually be more of like I'm trying to do good, but then these humans piss me off, type
That's
deal.
true. Yeah,
Um,
in his head, he is a hero, right?
right,
He's twisted it in that way, but it's understandable at the same time why he would
right.
twist it that way, considering his history. Which, by the way, like, how do you do that now? I don't know if it still works having him be like Holocaust survivor. Like, I don't know if they take a different route with that. It would be tough.
It
Like
would
I
be
could see
yeah.
Magneto being like a played by a black person now instead, and twisting the story around the origin and all that at this point, because it's kind of tough to do him
Ooh,
as a
that would
Holocaust
actually
survivor.
be really good. I
Yeah.
think if you did it correctly, you could touch on a lot of themes. I think that would actually work just super well
In
there.
today's world, it kind of makes more sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think they could do
Yeah.
something really. You got to obviously be very
You
careful.
have to watch that line. Yeah.
Yeah, get a lot of the right people on board to be behind that story, right? If they
Right.
did go that direction, but I think it could really work. I think it'd be interesting. But we got one more question from Rick here, Red Hulk for for Mads Mikkelsen. That's funny. And the final question from Rick is: introducing the X-Men in a way that makes sense will be a major challenge for the MCU. How would you make their introduction go smoothly while also making sense in the context of the universe? This is really difficult. I've been thinking about this a lot, and
It's
the
hard.
only thing that makes sense is multiverse, in my opinion. Because it doesn't make sense to have mutants in our current prime MCU universe and it mean anything. Like, who gives a shit? Why would we be villainizing these mutants that were born this way when we put these heroes of the Avengers up on a pedestal? They're worshipped throughout the world, and they
Yeah.
have powers that are unbelievable. And then we're gonna take mutants and we're gonna cast them aside and put them into concentration camps and stuff. Like, it doesn't really make sense. So the only
Yeah.
way to do it right is to go to a universe where the Avengers don't exist, where mutants are all there is, and they are, considered to be dangerous, and everybody's afraid of them. But how do you make that work? It's almost like they need to consolidate realities. It's almost like something needs to happen in this multiverse of madness, where in the end, somehow universes get blended together, and it brings in the mutants from another reality and makes them a part of the main reality.
Yeah, I like what you said. It's extremely hard. I mean, I agree with you. I think multiverse is probably the most easiest way for you to go and not saying something because that's hard.
Yeah,
Because the only other way I think you could even do it would be like, oh yeah, they were there in the background this entire time and they kept
it doesn't make
themselves
sense.
hidden. And yeah, again, you get thrown into that so much like well, why did they go help in Sokovia? Why did they help in New York? Why you get into that entire can of worms there, and it's just yeah, no, it has to be multiverse.
And that goes into what Mike was talking about with Quicksilver, with WandaVision. Like, maybe he came in from another reality, because that's what I'm talking about here. But my question is, right now in my head, it doesn't seem to fit within the framework of WandaVision. Like, why would he be in this simulation? How did Wanda or anybody get him there? It doesn't seem like that's one of Wanda's powers. So, like, how did he get there? and also abide by
Right.
the rules that have been set up so far. That's why I'm a little skeptical about this blowing up the multiverse with Fox Quicksilver suddenly showing up. I want to believe. I think it's really cool if that's the direction they're going, but my mind is sort of setting myself up for the troll because
Yeah.
I don't want to get my hopes up that they're going in this direction when right now it
Here-
doesn't seem like it makes sense.
Right. The only thing that I could think that would just be crazy here was that if they do bring like they brought Quicksilver into WandaVision, right? And if we go back to this whole cameo discussion, like it's not Doctor Strange. I mean, the only other thing that I would really think that would cement that entire thing is like, yeah, no, we're bringing X-Men in, we're bringing them in fast and hard, would be if something like Magneto showed up or Charles Xavier. Like that would be the instant, like, yeah, we're going in on this, and you guys better buckle up.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting on how they do it for sure.
Definitely. A great question and another tough question.
Another tough
Rick
question.
says in the chat that some people think that Quicksilver is Doc Strange's inside guy. Like he brought him in from another reality and threw him into the simulation. Interesting theory. Definitely.
Well, like the thing,
Go ahead.
the thing is, no, I'm just saying the thing is too is we also know Strange has definitely deviated from his role.
Yeah.
We know that from Endgame. That Strange has definitely broken the rule book. So much so it's where the Ancient One in another timeline was like, "Dear God, what is this man doing?" So it'll be interesting what happens there.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think I might have skipped something here. Let me trying to find where my videos are. I was going to do a couple trailers. I'm wondering if we should skip because we are a little bit far behind. I do want to
Behind,
make sure we
yeah.
start the room by
Yep.
hold on one sec, you guys. There it is. It's next up. I think we're gonna go through this quickly. Our trailers of the month. We got 2 of them, but we're not gonna do a big discussion on these.
Yeah, me too.
I think we're just going to watch them and nerd out, and then move on with the show so that we can try and get the room started by 10 o'clock or a little after that. So thank you so much to those that did take part in the segment, in the spotlight. As I said, get on our Discord at discord.gg/thelevelupnetwork. Go to the hashtag in the spotlight channel and submit your hard-hitting questions for us to answer or just me to answer live on the Lights Up show like Rick did this month. Thank you so much for being a part of it, Rick. Matty from Matt says, who do we think is playing Reed Richards? Everybody keeps saying John Krasinski. I'm going to say right now, I think it will be a black actor who plays Reed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Sue will be white. I think Reed will be black. That's my
Okay.
guess right now. So I don't know who that's going to be, but that's just my guess right now. It'll be interracial, which I think is cool. I'm all for it.
That'll be good.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on, let's check out our first trailer of the month.
All right, guys, remember what we're looking for. And don't trust anyone.
Whoa, what?
Hey, baby. Where are your parents? Hey, who's baby? What? Really? A con baby? Impressive. We could use someone like you. Let's catch you up. My name is Raya. Our lands have been at war for as long as we can remember. Our people never see eye to eye.
My daughter, I believe our people can come together again.
Animation's
But
getting
someone
crazy.
has to take the first step.
Now,
Yeah,
in order
I
to
love the
restore
art style of
peace,
this.
we must find the last dragon.
I wish to join this
You are
fellowship
the
of
last dragon, and you possess the power.
Let's go. We'll have to watch our backs. We're not the only ones looking. 6 years of searching. Please let this be it. Oh, mighty Sisu!
Who said that?
We really need your help.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not like the best dragon. Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
We're doomed.
Villain looks
You and the
badass.
dragon are coming with me.
Yeah.
My sword here says we're not.
All the music here.
The world's broken. You can't trust anyone.
Maybe it's broken because you don't trust anyone. You just have to take the first step.
Pretty badass.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I just shape changed.
Dragons can do that?
Look how close my butt is to my head. It's gonna make digestion so much faster.
Yeah, so it looks pretty badass. I like the first trailer a little bit more for
Yeah.
just like the kind of the vibe of it. This one obviously brings in the more like Disney jokiness. But what I'm hearing about this movie, and especially the original cut of this movie, is that it's brutal.
Violent.
It's violent, like so violent that some people are saying like they thought it could have been rated R, the original cut. Like there's like
broken bones.
yes,
and stuff like that.
shattering bones action, like really, really visceral, brutal action. And even this version, people are saying is like very on the line of like PG-13 action, which I think is really cool. I'm all in for that. The villain looks badass. Looks like we're gonna get some really great fist-to-fist action, some great sword fighting. And I love Moana. It gives me a little bit of those vibes with obviously with the great, strong heroine, I should say, and the colors, all of that gives me great Moana vibes, which Moana is one of my favorites, if not my favorite of the Disney Animation Studios films. So yeah, I'm really vibing with this so far. What about you, Vince?
Oh yeah, I want it. I'll probably do premiere access for that.
Really? Yeah, you're gonna do the $30?
Yeah, more likely. I mean, that is right up my alley. It's a martial arts film, if anything. So yeah, I'm in there day one.
Yeah, $30 is a lot. At least it depends on how you're doing it, right? If you have like a big family that all can get together and watch it, then make that $30 worth it. Like, could I maybe get? It'll be me, Kristen, and maybe Evie if we like keep her up one night. I'm not sure Allie would pay attention, so like maybe we keep Evie up one night to rent it. I don't know. You think it'll probably come out a month later for free, like Mulan did, and I'm really glad I didn't spend the money on Mulan because that was only okay at best. I think this will be better than Mulan was. I'm not sure it's going to be quite Moana level. I hope it is. But right now I'm keeping my expectations a little lower than that because Moana is just so fantastic, and so is Tangled actually, and Frozen's great. But specifically Moana and Tangled I think are absolutely great. So I don't want to expect that level just yet. But I hope it's near that. Moving on, let's move on to our second trailer of the month. Action-packed trailer. 3, 2, 1. Wait for it. I'm trying to give you timing here. Go.
This is our only chance. We have to take it. We need Kong. The world needs him to stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. I think that in some way, Kong did the
Monkey.
same.
Don't underestimate Monkey. Rick, Mel, come on now.
This trailer music is so strange.
Yeah. Music is a little odd.
Oh, that was 20. Yeah.
These are dangerous times. Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people and we don't know why.
There's something provoking him that we're not seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
The myths are real. There was a war,
He's a nuclear lizard.
and they're the last one standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
bows to who?
Kong bows to no one.
So dumb. I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's a leave your brain at the door movie. It really, I mean, come on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can leave your brain at the door. But here, let's look at the physics of the freaking beam right there. We're gonna just adjust how physics work just for that shot. To make
Are you
sure
really? Are you debating physics when we got a nuclear lizard versus a giant monkey? Like, come on.
I'm gonna say in that shot for sure because they curve his beam so that way it stays with the axe. And then
yeah, it's a little
come
weird.
on,
it's a
God.
little. Yeah.
Come on. And Khan's face whenever he jumps off the ship the first time is hysterical.
Yeah, it's like motion captured, obviously, but it's so weird. I feel like I'm looking at some guy and I'm not looking at a gigantic monkey in that scene. It's weird. The music is exciting, but I don't know. It's not the vibe that I wanted for this trailer for sure. I wanted something a little bit more like epic, and that's just like Alien versus Predator, like Fast and Furious type shit. I don't know. It just wasn't quite the vibe that I wanted for this trailer with that music.
Like with Godzilla King of the Monsters, like that second trailer when they used or the very first trailer when they used like that big sweeping classical piece, like that would have been I think a lot cooler here. Something like that.
All the previous Godzilla trailers have had really cool music choices, like that you wouldn't have expected, and in a good way. And then this one had sort of like the opposite of that, where it's like, yeah, not what I expected, and not in a good way. Just not for me, not choice. But the action looks really exciting, and I'll watch this. I will watch this on HBO Max for sure.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Come on, I mean, it's just.
It's gonna be. You're right. It's gonna be an action film. It's gonna be leave your brain at the door, but stay at the same time. It's a nuclear lizard versus big monkey. Like,
let's just hope that they actually put a lot of monster versus monster action on screen this time, and don't fool us once again with a bunch of stupid human stuff that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
And continue teasing us over and over again. Like, here comes the fight. No, never mind. Let's go back to stupid human crap. Like if the human story was good, then that'd be fine. But it hasn't been so far in any of these. So I think they've all been a disappointment so far. Not that they've all been bad, but they've all been a disappointment so far.
Yeah, they haven't lived up to the hype yet.
Yeah. Well then, there you have it. Trailer of the month. All right, guys, we are gonna go to intermission. When we come back, we're getting into the top stories of the month. And then after that, nobody go anywhere. Jump over to Discord, actually, because we're going to do a live watch-along, a live drunk watch-along of The Room. But for now, everybody, hold on tight. Enjoy a trailer, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Lights Up Show, our movies and television talk show, live on the first Saturday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode by following here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show and turning on notifications. If you're watching the archive on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell to get alerts for future video uploads. And of course, become a part of this community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/The Level Up Network. We are joined tonight by a special guest host and Agent of Vincent 4756. Type in !Vince in the chat to get the link to his Twitch channel. Please follow him there and give him that support. He's his own streamer. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
You are very welcome, as always. Get on that Discord. This isn't a car. Yeah, I agree, Concurt. The final Dark Knight film was good, but without a doubt a disappointment. It was not what I was hoping it would be. Welcome to Carlos from Mexico. Good to have you here. Welcome to everybody in the room. We got 24 people in the room. To anybody that's enjoying the show tonight, as I said, hit that follow button. Become a part of this community. We haven't had any follows tonight. Lights Up Show. We got to get people in this community for Lights Up once a month. I know it's only once a month. We got to get this community growing for Lights Up. We're in this for the long haul. Right now, we're gonna move on to our top stories of the month. We got 9 of them. We're gonna try and get through this in about 30 minutes is what I'm hoping for here, so that we have plenty of time for The Room and any extension The Room might have with your guys' tip rewinds during that drunk watch along. So starting off first here with the number 9 story of the month. A quick one. Zack Snyder's Justice League is no longer a miniseries. It is now a 4-hour movie. He responded on Twitter to somebody asking that, and he confirmed that it's now just 4 hours. What do you think about watching Zack Snyder's Justice League for 4 hours straight, Vince?
I'll do it. I'll do it once,
Yeah?
just for the experience, and then we'll go from there. I mean, I liked Watchmen in its unlimited cut as well, except for the 10-minute long Hallelujah scene. You know.
Yeah, man.
But, you know, I'll watch it. I do love Zack Snyder's visual direction, so I do want to see what this does change. And I did like the Ultimate Edition cut of this as well. But we'll see. It's probably going to be a once-time experience, you know?
What, out of 5 stars, our lights up rating system, what do you expect this movie to be?
I don't know. I think it is going to make it a better film. But I don't really see it going past, like, a 3.5 at its best case scenario.
I think that's even generous. I was going to say, no way it goes past a 3, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, it was like around 3.5. Like, it's just, I don't foresee this really fixing everything that was wrong, kind of, with what these films were.
I think there's a chance it's even worse. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay.
Like, let's not just expect right off the bat that this is going to be better than Justice League. There's a chance this is worse than Justice League. 4 hours is bloated. That is a bloated movie. Like, I know some people are like, yes, more, give me more, but, you know, the pacing might be way off. I know my biggest complaint with Batman v Superman was the pacing. That movie's pacing is atrocious. So, giving Zack Snyder 4 hours, I agree Watchmen is fantastic. I'm a big fan of Watchmen, but more recently, Batman v Superman is on my mind, and that was a long movie with terrible pacing. He might even be worse than that with Justice League. So, I don't know. I'm keeping my expectations pretty low. As was said in the chat, it is R-rated, and it is now confirmed with a release date of March 18th. It is not that far away, you guys. A little more than a month before we finally get to see the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Yeah. Moving on. The number 8 story of the month. Dexter will not be a lumberjack in the revival series, nor will he be returning to Miami in it. IGN writes, it has been revealed that Dexter's revival on Showtime will take place in an upstate New York, hinting that Dexter may not be returning to Miami and may not be lumberjacking in Oregon either. I'm all good with that. As reported by Deadline, the limited series setting was revealed through character details of the new cast members. The Mandalorian's Julia Jones will be playing Angela Bishop, the first Native American chief of police in the town in upstate New York. Believes Johnny Sequoia will play Audrey, Bishop's brash and opinionated teenage daughter. Sylvie's Loves, Alana Miller, I don't even know what they're saying, is playing Logan, a sergeant for the Iron Lake Police Department and the assistant wrestling coach for the local high school. The good Lord Bird's Jack Alcott, I haven't heard of any of these shows, will play Randall, with whom Dexter Hall has a meaningful encounter. The news makes no mention of other returning casts besides Michael C. Hall as Dexter, but there could always be surprises in store for fans. I just want them to forget that season 8 of Dexter even existed. Just forget it. Set it and forget it, and then move on to Dexter Revival. I will watch this because I hope that they fix what Dexter season 8 was. I'm curious what you guys in the chat have to say. Did you watch Dexter, Vince?
Parts of it. This is one of Lindsay's favorite shows, so I know for sure she's all about it. But the thing is, from what I remember watching bits and parts of it, like most of season 1, season 2, season 3, it just felt like the show got goofier and a little bit more kind of like oddly toned as it kind of progressed. So in a way, I'm actually more curious about this because I wonder if it's going to be like this season, if they kind of go for like a more darker, more modern take on that. I wonder if this could be the season that'd be like, this hooks me, because I think Michael C. Hall was fantastic. That's what I thought was great about the show to begin with. So the good news is that the original showrunner is back for this.
That's great.
He left after season 4, which is the best season of Dexter.
That would make sense. Okay.
And then the second half of the series is a completely different showrunner that it fell apart with that guy. So bringing back the original showrunner for this revival is a good start. And it seems like he's trying to say, with it not being in Miami, not being him lumberjacking, it's almost like they're saying, forget that happened. Let's just do an isolated Dexter story that forgets all of that. And I'm cool with that. I'm all in for that.
And I like the setting too. Upstate New York. That's going to be fun, I think.
Yeah. Moving on to the number 7 story of the month.
Yes.
Deadpool 3 will be an R-rated MCU movie Feige confirmed this. Quote, it will
That's
be rated
crazy.
R, and we are working on a script right now, and Ryan's overseeing a script right now. It will not be filming this year. Ryan is a very busy, very successful actor. We've got a number of things we're already announced that we now have to make, but it's exciting for it to have begun. Again, a very different type of character in the MCU, and Ryan is a force of nature, which is just awesome to see him bring that character to life. Was originally going to be a road trip movie, it turns out, with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds was the one that confirmed this. He tweeted out, quote, it's critical to have open, honest, and healthy discussions around mental health. By retweeting, Bell, let's talk, you can make a difference. In case that's not enough, before Disney bought Fox, Deadpool 3 was going to be a road trip between Deadpool and Logan, Rashomon style, for real. I kind of wish we got that.
I kind of wish we would have got it too, for sure. I think it would have been such a, either would have been amazing or it would have been a complete train wreck that still would have been amazing no matter what, you know?
Yeah. Here's what I think. King Kurt says Disney R. I don't think you see Disney at all in this movie. Like, you don't see a Disney animation at the beginning of this. You see just Marvel, as always. I don't think you ever see Disney startups with Marvel movies. Am I right on that?
No. They're
going to do everything they can to separate this from Disney. This is Marvel, which is almost like its own entity within Disney now at this point, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to go for with this, and this is just unbelievably exciting that they're finally committing to R-rated, and it means that there's hope for Blade, for example, to be R-rated. Confirmed this week to be written by one of the writers on Watchmen for HBO, which is unbelievable news right off the bat to get anybody involved with Watchmen on Blade. But then this news on top of that, leading to the possibility of an R-rated Blade within the MCU. The future is looking bright, I think.
I think so too. I'm excited for this.
Yes, yes. Moving on, let me kind of fast forward the video here. We're moving at a good pace. Moving on to the number 6 story of the month. Got a lot of video game news. We're gonna rapid fire this. First up, Zelda Netflix was canceled because of the leak. College Humor was working with Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo on a fantastic Mr. Fox style Star Fox claymation project. That was canceled, and the Netflix Zelda series were canceled. Both of them canceled just because of the leak. How fucking petty is that?
It's Nintendo. 100%.
That's so Nintendo. That is the most Nintendo thing ever. And it sucks. We lost this because of a leak?
Yep.
You gotta be kidding me.
And like the thing too is like, I saw some people comment like, you know, like, yeah, it's a breach of trust. And I was like, I don't care if it's a breach of trust. You saw so many people on social media freak out and was excited from this. And this is what you do? You don't deserve your fans.
It wasn't 12 years ago. I don't remember how long ago it was, Akume, but I remember when it came out that there was a Netflix Zelda thing in the works.
Yeah.
And then it just went silent. It just went completely silent, and this is why. Because there was a leak, they stopped working on it. Just the most ridiculous thing ever. But moving on, Tomb Raider is getting an animated series on Netflix. Polygon writes, according to Netflix's press release, the anime will be a sequel to the most recent reboot video game trilogy of the Tomb Raider franchise. As you might expect, the series will follow the game's iconic main character, Lara Croft, as she travels the world searching out new, more exciting, and more dangerous adventures. The Tomb Raider animated series will be written and executive produced by Tasha Huo, who is also working on The Witcher Blood Orange, a live-action spinoff of the popular fantasy series. So that's pretty exciting. I hope they get the animation right. If they do, I think this could be a really cool thing.
Yeah. I mean,
you don't seem excited, but yeah.
I don't seem excited because it's a sequel to the most recent reboot trilogy.
You want it to be like the original? You don't want it to be based on the reboot?
I just would have liked an original project, like what Castlevania has done and everything like that. I just would have enjoyed that more. Following this is just kind of like, I don't care about this Croft in a way. And that sucks because I should, but I just can't.
That's not the only Tomb Raider news we got, actually. It's been confirmed that the sequel Tomb Raider movie, the live-action one, will be directed by Misha Green. She's actually the showrunner for Lovecraft Country, which is doing really well on HBO Max. So that's a promising grab for director. We'll have to wait and see. I still haven't seen Tomb Raider live-action, the film. How about you?
Me neither.
Yeah, I need to. I want to see like all of the video game adaptations just because I'm invested in that. And it didn't look bad, and I heard it was fine. I heard it wasn't great, but I heard it was fine. Hopefully they can improve upon the first film in the series and make this one better. Continue on with more Netflix video game adaptations. We have an animated Sonic show coming to Netflix. It's going to be called Sonic Prime. So, cool. more video game
Yeah.
stuff. Nothing more to it just yet. That's all we have. But there is a
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog show in development for Netflix. Moving on from that, Kevin Hart is joining the Borderlands movie along with Kate Blanchett. She's already been confirmed. He will be playing Roland, which I don't know Borderlands very well, but everything I'm reading about Roland is that he is a very stoic, courageous, military man. Like, this is the last thing I would have expected for Kevin Hart.
Yeah. What's even weirder too is like this is a weird miscast in my opinion. But then you have everyone on like entertainment stuff saying, believe it or not, though, this movie script is fantastic.
Okay.
Like it's really weird. Like everyone's kind of deflecting from this because they're saying, no, seriously, the script is that good. If they didn't modify it, if they didn't change it, the script is that good. But we'll see.
I'm pretty sure the script is done by God, I'm drawing a blank on his name.
I can't remember the name either.
He
It's a
worked
big
on
deal.
Chernobyl.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, he worked on Chernobyl. He's working on the Last of Us series as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's done some pretty abysmal work in like the far
Yes.
past, but his recent stuff has been fantastic. So that is promising. Eli Roth is directing, which I'm not the biggest
yeah.
Eli Roth fan, so I don't know
I'm
about that.
not.
But
After finding out more about Eli Roth, I was like, no thanks. And then Kevin Hart finding out more about him, like, no thanks. So
yeah.
I like Kate. Everything else has been not so good for this on this movie.
Moving on from that, Kantemir Bulagov has replaced Johan Renck to direct The Last of Us for HBO. As far as we know right now, Bulagov is only confirmed for the pilot episode, but I would imagine he's probably going to direct more than just the pilot episode. The most recent thing, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I haven't seen the movie myself. It's a foreign language film that he directed recently. It was nominated for a lot of awards, and I am unfortunately drawing a blank on the name, but I watched the trailer for it, and I can see why he was chosen for this. He definitely has a certain cinematography style, directing style. Of course, he doesn't do the cinematography. He has a cinematographer that I guess he works with and has chosen, hopefully, to work with him as well in The Last of Us. But the style that I see there, and also the stories that he has told so far in film have been very emotional and about character moments. And it seems like he's the right person for this, based on what I've seen so far. I really want to watch his movies because I want to see what he could potentially do for The Last of Us. But my first feeling, my gut feeling, based on the trailer and just what I saw, the scenes there, good choice. I'm excited for him to follow up with this. Continue on with more Naughty Dog projects. The Uncharted movie has been delayed. COVID, of course, racking the industry. And it's been delayed till February of 2022. But it's happening now at this point. Like they've been in production, they've been shooting. It's happening. It's not going to get canceled at this point. It's just a matter of time. But it has been delayed until 2022. We have a poll in the chat. Which video game adaptation are you most excited for? Vince, what are you most excited for?
For me, it's got to be the Last of Us TV series. It's the closest thing for me. Unfortunately, Metal Gear Solid isn't quite solid yet on what they're doing and everything like that's where I can get super excited for. But that's a very close second. But it has to be Last of Us for me.
Yeah, and they tied actually with the viewers. Yeah. I would agree. I would go with the Last of Us TV series because we know the talent behind it, and it's really, really strong. Metal Gear Solid movie. We know it's Oscar Isaac, and we know it's Jordan Vogt Robert, which is great. Jordan Vogt Robert has a lot of passion for the series, and his movies have been pretty cool, especially from a visual perspective with like Kong Skull Island, but not quite as much talent there, not as quite as much known about it. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Last of Us TV series for now. Moving on from that, our number 5 story of the month. Wall Street Bets might have saved AMC. AMC stock went up 300% last Wednesday due to the meme stock buzz on Reddit. Per Matt Levine, finance and opinion columnist for Bloomberg, these recent events have saved the company. Quote, holders of $600 million of AMC convertible bonds converted them into stock at a conversion price of $13.51 per share because of that blow up in price from the meme stock stuff. So $600 million of debt vaporized by Reddit enthusiasm. A week ago, it was not crazy to think that this company was doomed. Now it is entirely possible that it will survive and thrive and show movies in theaters for decades to come because everyone went nuts and bought meme stocks this past week. That's kind of awesome, actually. Like, it makes me happy that AMC can survive this. I wanted them to survive this. I also have stock in AMC now because I did invest in the meme stocks, so I do want them to survive. But this gives them the time they need to get past COVID and for things to blow up again. And honestly, I could have sold AMC when it was up, and now it's down again. But I'm going to hold on to it for the long run because I have faith that they're going to survive COVID. And when it does end and Spider-Man comes out in theaters, I think that we're going to see AMC go back up to a $15, $20 stock price again and thrive, as was just said here. What do you think? Is AMC here for the future now?
Yeah, I think everyone who's ever heard me talk on, like, not even on this show, but even on the other show, I don't. I honestly, truly do not think. I think this is a short-term fix for a long-term problem to a market that is completely changing and adapting. And unless they fix the model, unless they change the model, unless they become more competitive, no, I don't think this is going to last.
Here's what I think. I think the future is going to be different, but I think the only thing you get in theaters, like literally the only thing that even goes into theaters moving forward, are Star Wars, are MCU, are DCU, like the big blockbusters, and that's what everybody goes to see in theaters. And it's always going to be event type stuff when you go to the theater to see something. It's never going to be, oh, I went to go see, I don't know, The Farewell. Like, you know, like that is going to be streaming and everybody's going to watch it streaming and it's going to come out day and date. And I don't even think they're even going to think about it going to movie theaters. Like if it does, it's going to be the most limited release ever. It's going to be like in 10 theaters and they're going to have to change the rules of the Oscars and everything's going to have to change. And the movie theaters are just going to be so you can go see those blockbuster events with the great big screen and the great sound system and all that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I even doubt that, to be honest, especially with everything changing from Disney Plus, HBO Max.
Yeah. HBO Max is definitely throwing a wrench in the works, but I think what you see with HBO Max is it's going to come out very quickly afterwards. All you need is like a month. Just put things in theaters for a month. You'll get everybody to go see it that wants actually to have the theater experience in that month, and then everybody else watches it on HBO Max. And they'll do great. They'll get both revenue streams. I think it's enough for AMC and theaters to survive, and I think it's plenty enough for streaming services to survive because there's gonna be plenty of people that don't want to go to the theater and are fine watching it on their couch. I think both can live. I do.
I think you're optimistic there, my friend.
I am optimistic. I'm very optimistic.
It's fine.
I want it.
We'll see
I
what
want it.
happens.
I don't want to lose the theater experience. I do not. I like going to the movie theater, and I always will. I don't go as often as I used to, and I do go for the blockbuster events usually now. But I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose, if Star Wars becomes awesome again in theaters, I don't want to lose that theater experience. Like Star Wars was made for the movie theaters. Like I couldn't imagine watching episode 10 on my couch. I just cannot.
I can. It's
really
weird. I think it just shows. I think it's weird. Like I can. But that's to me. I will take content where I can. You know, if there's an easier way for me to get content, I will. You know, and especially if you start factoring costs, like for us to go see a movie in theater, that's a $25 expense on our end. If Disney Plus or HBO Max is going to have as a rental for $25 or $30, that's still the same deal for me. It's just I don't have to leave home. I have my own Max. I can pause it. It's permanently on my. That's what the issue is, you know. But I get what you're saying though. There is that event. I could not imagine seeing Endgame on my couch. I can now,
right?
But at the same time, those feelings are not going to be you can't replace that entire event crowd. You can't do that. So I get what you're saying.
Right. That's a part of it, right? Is having a full audience reacting to those moments. The Thor's hammer going into Captain America's hands, like that would not be the same if you watched it with your girlfriend on the couch.
Right. But again, the hard part now is you have, you know, Mandalorian dropping Luke Skywalker. You have WandaVision doing its thing. We're having like those, they're not as big, but they're still big events, and they're being this collective social media freak out. So it's going to be, it's weird, dude, right? It's weird. We'll have to see where this goes, but I don't know.
I do agree that the social media aspect is a variable for sure. in this
Yeah.
whole thing. That is a big deal. The Luke Skywalker reaction was a very big deal. Moving on with more MCU related stuff to the number 4 story of the month. Chris Evans is rumored to return as Captain America. Deadline writes in a move that is sure to rock the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sources tell Deadline that Chris Evans is cleaning the dust off his Captain America attire as he expected to reprise the role in the MCU in some form. It's still vague whether the deal is closed, but insiders say it's headed in that direction for Evans to return as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, in at least one Marvel property, with the door open for a second film. Sources add it's unlikely to be a new Captain America installment and more likely to be like what Robert Downey Jr. did after Iron Man 3, appearing in such films as Captain America, Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming. Marvel had no comment, and Chris Evans tweeted out around that time, he didn't say it was directly in relation to the story, but around the time the story dropped, he tweeted out, quote, "news to me."
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Vince?
I think he's in there. He's involved. There's been so much smoke with that. But I don't think it's going to be as immediate as people think it's going to be. Like, I don't think we're going to see him in Falcon Winter Soldier. We're definitely not seeing him in WandaVision. He's going to be like a season 2 Falcon Winter Soldier moment. You know, he's one of those types of things where you kind of bring that back after, you know, maybe another year or 2 more years from that. What about you?
I could see him having like a very small cameo in one of these future Disney Plus series, without taking too much away from Falcon. They need to be careful. I agree with Rick that there's a chance that they ruin Falcon, and that passing of the torch if they make him such a big part. But if he is just like, hey, you know, a little quick cameo or something, I don't think it necessarily ruins Falcon's turn as Captain America. They just got to be careful with it. I don't think it's going to happen in WandaVision. I think there's a chance it happens in Winter Soldier.
Right. If it happens in Winter Soldier, I definitely think it's going to be very much like a very short flashback of someone remembering something that Steve said. And that's like an inspiration quote. It's one like that's an inspiration scene is what it's going to be. But from what this story details, it sounds like it's something more kind of involved, like Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man, with Civil War and Homecoming. And I don't think we're getting something like that quite yet for a while.
Yeah. The MCU news does not stop as we head towards the number 3 story of the month. Ryan Coogler has signed a 5-year Disney television deal. A Wakanda series is in the works. Deadline writes, the Walt Disney Company has extended its relationship with Black Panther director and co-writer Ryan Coogler. Disney has made a 5-year overall exclusive television deal with Coogler's Proximity Media. Coogler, who is working on the Black Panther feature sequel he will direct this year, will develop a new television series for the studio. The first one will delight Black Panther fans, a drama based in the Kingdom of Wakanda for Disney+. The deal also enables Proximity to develop television for other divisions of the company. Said Coogler, quote, "It's an honor to be partnering with the Walt Disney Company. Working with them on Black Panther was a dream come true. As avid consumers of television, we couldn't be happier to be launching our television business with Bob Iger, Dana Walden, and all the amazing studios under the Disney umbrella. We look forward to learning, growing, and building a relationship with audiences all over the world through the Disney platforms." Wakanda forever is right.
I love this.
Really exciting. You don't need Black Panther necessarily to enjoy Wakanda, and in a lot of ways, you really shouldn't have Black Panther anymore after the death of Chadwick Boseman. He is Black Panther, at least the Black Panther that we know and love, right? So I think they're being very careful with that and honoring his legacy by making, you know, a broad sort of Wakanda series instead. And I think it's awesome. I'm really excited for this. And Ryan Coogler is fantastic. Everything he's ever done at this point, in my opinion, has been great. So him being involved is just, it's a really promising step for this development here.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it's a long ways away.
Yeah.
But we got a bright future for Disney Plus and the MCU within it. Moving on, let's jump into the number 2 story of the month. I'm going to fast forward our video here so we can keep up. Harry Potter is supposedly in development as a TV series for HBO Max. Variety writes, our Harry Potter series is in very early development at HBO Max. Rumors that a show set within the wizarding world, y'all wizard Harry, have persisted for some time. Now it seems those plans are moving ahead, though no writers or talent, hopefully not J.K. Rowling, are currently attached to the project. Sources say conversations have taken place with multiple writers on the potential series. There is no word on what the focus of the show would be or what part of the Harry Potter timeline it would focus on should it move ahead. Quote, there are no Harry Potter series in development at the studio or on the streaming platform, Warner Brothers and HBO Max said. So they are denying at this point.
Yeah.
I want it to be true, even though I despise J.K. Rowling at this point. I love the wizarding world, and I think it actually works really well as a TV series, potentially. I have not checked out Fantastic Beasts whatsoever. I don't care about that for some reason, but I would be totally in for a TV series. What about you?
I liked Fantastic Beast.
Okay.
I would have to see what they do here. For me, I would definitely want something just kind of not like closely tied to everything. I kind of just want like out there. It's the Wizarding World. It's like kind of almost an original story. Sure, like, you know, whatever. There could be some like, you know, small little things in there. But I just want to explore the world more, to be honest. This is really all I want.
So you don't want anything to do with Harry Potter. You don't want to have anything to do with his parents, Lily and
I just
James.
want the Wizarding World. That's all I want. I want that. I don't want Harry Potter. I think we've had enough. We've had 8 movies plus 3 prequel movies at this point now. Like, yeah. No, it's time to go and expand that world. Okay. In my opinion.
Very interesting.
What about you?
I don't really care. I'm in no matter what it is.
No matter what it is, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. As long as it's, you know, looks exciting. You know, as long as they're doing well with the timeline or framework that they decide to go within. Even if they recreated the movies, I would check that out. Especially if their focus from the beginning when they announced it was, we're taking the story and we are diving 10 times deeper with the TV series than we did with the movies. Like every page of the book will be honored. With this TV series. If they said that, it'd be like, yeah, okay. If there's enough content there that wasn't adapted for the film that they feel like they can make a TV series that better honors the pages, then okay, that's cool. No matter what, I just want to see what they have in mind. And this leads into our top story of the month as well, which is sort of a similar type of story. Supposedly, a Game of Thrones animated series is in production for HBO Max. Hollywood Reporter writes, the next Game of Thrones chapter could be animated. Animated Game of Thrones drama is in the early stages of development at HBO Max. Multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. Meetings with writers for the adult-leaning project, which would be similar in tone to HBO's Emmy-winning flagship, are already underway. No deals have been made, and there's still a possibility the anime series will never come to fruition. Reps for HBO Max have declined to comment. In this case, I will be 100% honest, I want it to be a recreation of the entire series.
I agree with you on this one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because there is so much they didn't touch on in those books.
Yep.
And if they go with a much lower budgets, which is probably the case, right? It's animated, a much lower budget, they can expand it to longer seasons, more seasons, literally adapt this entirely. Everything that George R.R. Martin wrote, adapt as an animated series. And fix the end of the live action series as a result of that. If they spend enough time, and they could have a high budget with this, not as high as a live action, but they could do a high budget with amazing animation, right? And they could spend 10 years on this. By the time they get to the end, will he finally be done with the books and they can adapt it the right way? If they do this, that's my hope. I want them to just redo it all. I would watch it. I would 100% watch it all animated. I think if it was live action, I wouldn't. It's the fact that it's a different medium. By going animation, that would make me interested in it.
I agree. But, especially after Castlevania. Yes, I want more anime shows.
Yeah, right? Animation, especially adult-leaning animation, can be so exciting. And on HBO, they've done some animated work in the past. Spawn, for example, was an anime show on HBO at one point, and it was actually really cool. Very dark, very graphic. If they don't hold back at all and really went all in on high budget animation, which they can afford because it's Game of Thrones and it's going to have a great audience even after the dismal ending of the live action series. It's going to have a great audience. They could do something really special with this. But that's not the only news on Game of Thrones series. A Dunk and Egg series is also in early development. Variety writes, a series adaptation of Tales of Dunk and Egg, a prequel to the events of Game of Thrones, is in early development at HBO. Variety has learned exclusively from sources. The 1-hour show would be based on the series of fantasy novellas by George R. R. Martin, which followed the adventures of Sir Duncan the Tale, Dunk, and a young Aegon Targaryen, he's Egg, 90 years prior to the events of A Song of Ice and Fire. Martin has published 3 novellas in the Tales of Dunk and Egg series to date: The Hedge Knight in 1998, The Sworn Sword in 2003, and The Mystery Knight in 2010. The 3 novellas were then collected and published together as a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms in 2015. I've heard good things about these novellas.
Same here. Still haven't had time to read them.
Yeah, of the series, they've got a couple in development now. They also have the Targaryen one. I think it's called something.
I can't remember what it's called.
Blood of Dragons, or I can't remember what it's called, but they've got a Targaryen series in development, and I think this would be the other one. They were toying around with a Long Night series at one point, which would focus more on like the White Walkers and the Night King and all that. But from what I understand, that was axed. That one's no longer happening, and these are the 2. Of the 2, the Targaryens in this one, even though this does have a Targaryen involved, I would actually be more interested in Dunk and Egg of the 2. But if there's an animated series, that's the one I'm all in on. That's the one for me. I want the animated series. And all you guys in the chats, I must have put the wrong poll in there. Booksmart, I must have put the wrong one. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I put the... Oh, I put poll number 1. Let me, I meant to do poll number 11. Let's let that one finish. It just did finish, actually. And I'll ask you guys in the chat to close off the show tonight, which would you prefer? An animated series recreating the original series, or an anime series on brand new Game of Thrones subject matter? Let us know in the chat, because that is it. That is the show. It is 10:13. We got done pretty quickly, so we have plenty of time for the room. That is what is happening after the show tonight, guys. Go to Discord, discord.gg/the Level Up Network. Everybody, not just subs and patrons, everybody can get on the hashtag Watch Along channel and the Watch Along video channel, where I will be live with the Watch Along, and I will be showing the video and everything. It is a drunk watch along. We have a drinking game that everybody can play. I will post the rules once again within the hashtag Watch Along channel. You guys can follow that as well with me if you would like, or if you would just enjoy my suffering and maybe contribute to that suffering with Tip Rewind. That is up to you. Never watched Game of Thrones. Am I bad? No, not at all.
No,
I would still recommend watching it, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Even though it fell apart at the end, I would still say there are 6 fantastic to good seasons of Game of Thrones. So I would say watch it. And maybe by the time that you get to season 8, they will start the animated series, and you can start over all again and watch the animated series instead. And then just forget that season 8 of Game of Thrones live action exists, because it really is that bad. It's really bad. I wish it didn't exist, but it does. A fantastic episode of Lights Up. A big thank you to Agent Vincent4756 for being my special guest co-host tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome to join anytime you want, man.
Yeah, no, I like this.
Yes, it's a good show, right? More people should watch it.
Yeah, I always feel a little intimidated because I know you're much more the movie buff, and I'm much more the tech and game buff.
Yeah.
Well, not really. We're equal on that type of terms, but this is more your element. I'm just a guest here.
Maybe I will get you into movies and TV like you haven't been before.
Maybe. We'll see.
Like, do you not like watch a lot of stuff with your girlfriend?
That's the problem. Like, Linz and I with we watch stuff, but like we only watch like certain things. Like we watch like The Haunting of Bly Manor together. We were watching Dark a little bit together, but then like WandaVision for sure we watch. But our tastes in shows and everything like that, they're very different a lot of times. And so it was mostly anytime we'd go to the movies, it would be for Marvel projects or for one of the art show like type movies as well. We were like both like, I'm interested in that. So yeah. But as for me now, I'm so busy with, not only work, but like, trying to make the other, my channel grow with games and everything like that. I've been really going hard at gaming streaming. So I just don't watch as much.
I got you. I understand. It's tough. There's so much good television now, so it's hard to pick and choose. And there's so much good television that it's impossible to watch it all. So I feel like there's so much I'm missing out on. Even with all that I do watch, I watched much more back in the day. Obviously, once you have a wife and children, and also stream on top of that and work on top of that full time, there's not as much time in the day to watch these movies and TV shows, and certainly not as much time to get out to the theater, which is one of my big disappointments in life. Is right now you can't go to the theater, and even if they were around, I just can't get there like I used to.
Right.
So that is the positive aspect of having Disney Plus and having things like Raya and the Last Dragon come out, premiere access on there, and allowing me that option at the least. So I'm happy it exists. I just don't want theaters to go away, just because I will greatly miss the theater experience if that ever comes to fruition. But let's wrap this up, you guys.
Wrap it
Go
up.
ahead if you had something to say.
No, I was just totally agreeing with you. I mean, I hope we don't lose the experience for sure, but I just it's really hard to see it staying viable.
I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm going to stay very optimistic.
Yeah, no, which I think is the great mindset to have.
Thank you to everybody for being a part of this episode of the Lights Up Show, episode 2. Make sure to hit that follow button here at twitch.tv/levelupshow. We had no follows tonight, so let's get one right now. We've got 27 people in here. If you are new, hit that follow button, turn notifications. Make sure you get alerts whenever I go live. Typically Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays are always Variety Gaming. Sundays are Variety Gaming, or our gaming talk show, Next Level Gamescast, which Vince also joins me on. That is on the third Sunday of every month, and we got a great episode with some big stories already getting put together for this coming episode this month. So yes, become a part of this community. You can do that when we are not live as well on Discord at discord.gg/the Level Up Network, where we will be going very, very soon for our live watch along of The Room. We hope to see you over there, or on the next episode of Lights Up, or Next Level Gamescast, or Variety Gaming, or whatever else, whatever. Until next time, you all, take care, and as always, don't forget to level up, guys.
Level up.